Oh, the dead button.
Not the dad button. I ain't got one. Ah! Going live on that? What the fuck?
I can't hear.
Oh, yeah, live? Oh, shit, let me mute real quick.
All the terrible things he says about chat right before stream.
I know, right?
Chat don't believe his lies.
That is not
Can't even
that. Eerie.
Let's see what Cat will title his YouTube stream today.
Really? Oh, really?
Yes, really.
In the square hole.
At this point, every shape goes in the square hole. It is entertaining, that's for sure. Circles are just squares. Well, besides Star-Lord?
Little DD.
You could be Kite Man.
You could be Robin.
No. Why?
It would be funny.
You could be Red. Be Red. Pretty much, yeah. Red Hood. Red Hood's pretty.
Off Reddit.
You're just a.
Yes. Because
You can easily beat Batman. Just have a family.
Or just be Superman.
You're trying to beat him statistically and physically. Just beat him statusly. He can never have a family. He'll try, but it won't be.
So you just have to emotionally break Batman, I see. But didn't Scarecrow also do it?
That's Scarecrow's special.
Okay, so now we just have to have Scarecrow and Bane team up against Batman.
They did that in like Arkham City or Asylum. By the way, back then Batman game, highly recommend. Oh, is the Origin not that good? I agree.
Later.
Bye, chat.
Bye.
では、前に出ます。
Hello, guys. How's it going? Hey, Bearded, thank you for the resub. Appreciate it, my man. Jack, could we get some love for the 54 months? And also, I just got out the Go Live tweet. Do me the favor, go give that some love as well. You know, it helps me out. And let me grab you guys today's sauce. Okay. Hello, everybody. Sorry. I don't know why, but like the little like strap on the headset was like twisted. That's some mighty fine art right there, indeed. Here you guys go. Here is today's artwork. Go give the artist some love. Da, 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 da. Okay. Summer Morgan is now 90k away from Bond 10. That's not bad. Can wait for it to be Bond 12 so I can 120 here. Yeah, I mean, that's like the problem I'm currently having on NA is basically like the NA account needs double X bonded up and it needs to go all the way to Bond 12. And I'm struggling just to get her to Bond 11 in time. But my day's going pretty good. How about you guys, chat? Think I have everything prepared for my date Saturday? Other than what I'm gonna wear. But I'm not usually somebody that obsesses too much over that. I think the biggest question in my mind is, do I wear a dinner jacket or not? Nope. God, dude. 4, 10, 6? Really, people? There we go. Just another day in someone else's paradise? Yes. Good luck, Kat. I'm sure she'll love the faux hat. I don't think she knows who Foe is. Thank God. Like, she knows what Fate is, but if she knew what Foe is, that would mean she knows what FGO is, and then I might be in trouble. So it's probably a good idea that she does not learn of this. Okay. I did have to use a singular command seal today on JP. Because I was just getting ready in the morning and I was doing this comp, and I don't know what happened, but like, I think I forgot to plug suit right at the beginning of the comp because I'm using it to abuse it for a little bit of extra bond. Ugh. Sorry, chat. Big yawn. I had a reasonably filling dinner, and normally I don't lately. I weighed myself, chat, and I weigh 267 pounds, and I'm like, dude, I have to have lost like 30 pounds, so I'm like, does that mean I weighed like 300 pounds? It's like, I hope not. That's a bad sign. That would explain probably why I was so lethargic all the time. But I'm also just not sure that my my scale is right. Because, like, honestly, I feel like I'm more like like 250, 240 than anything. So it's like, that doesn't feel like that's the right weight. Like, I don't think I'm that heavy, because I basically, like, I'm already at the point where I'm slimmed up quite a bit, and I literally just need to, like, lose weight in, like, my side a little bit. And that's kind of always been, like, my problem spot. I basically have, like, love handles at the back. But that's normal for me at this point. Let's do it like that. Oh shit, I didn't do the plug suit buff, I don't think. They announced the start of the Chom salvage event in Dune, in case you haven't heard. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know that I care. Like, basically they've just managed to kind of make me disinterested in the game until they actually make changes to the end game of the game. And I've played Conan enough to know that these are just these little tchotchke events that they throw out every now and then, and they're not that big of a deal. Yeah, I mean, like, there's some cosmetics in it. But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just like, no, they've got to make some actual changes to Dune, or I'm just not gonna go back. I'll still log in every now and then to maintain the base and stuff, but right now, Shiro, Ash, and Bob are still all playing. So because they're playing, I don't have to go back and help out with that stuff right now. But I probably, like, will eventually have to, like, log in every, like, week or two to maintain the base and such. Get that rowing machine? Yeah, it might not, might not be a bad idea. I don't know why. I think, like, I probably talked a little bit too much yesterday. Did you cook that reasonably filling dinner? No, I didn't. And that's one of the reasons why I ate it all, is because it cost me money. I basically don't have anything to cook right now, so my plan is, like, tomorrow I will probably go to the grocery store. Fuck. Well, that's not good. I at least didn't do any of the charge. But that means I just lost myself 40% steroids for arts and quick on her. Should be fine for wave 1. But I'll have to disincentivize her cards on wave 2 and 3. They said they'll make the changes. Yeah, I just... look, I'm gonna be real with you. Saying you're gonna make the changes like 6 months from now is not good enough. Like, I understand that it's a smaller team. I understand that the developer wants to sit there and be like, hey, look, we get it, but we need time to work on this. They don't get that pass. And the reason they don't get that pass is because, one, they released the game in this state with a bare bones nothing in game. That's on them. And they deserve to take a hit for that. And two, their hubris has led them to insist that there is no issue with the end game. Not in the grand design of it. They think that this end game strategy of forcing PvEers and PvPers together in a PvP zone is a good idea. That is the most asinine, pants on head, stupid take I have ever seen in video gaming. I don't know any other dev that's stupid enough to think that that would be the case. Like, that would work. Obviously, that's going to cause friction. That's going to cause issues. And it's just going to piss off your PvE players. And because your PvE players will stop playing, that will then piss off your PvP players. So nobody's happy because of this choice. And like I said, you can't please everybody, but they are just actually at the point of pleasing no one. And that is really, really dumb of them, if you ask me. All right, will this kill? Should. There's a real issue with live service games having no in-game. Yeah, I mean, like, so this was actually an interesting thing, chat. Two little bits of news kind of came out in the last 24 hours. And you guys can tell me what you think of it, but I saw this stuff and I was like, huh. So Starfield apparently has upcoming content soon here, which it's apparently features that players have been asking for. Part of the team has been focused on space gameplay to make the traveling more rewarding. They're adding new game systems and a few other smaller delights. Now, on the other hand, we had news that No Man's Sky is getting another update. So they have the Voyagers update that adds a Corvette ship class, gives the ability to assemble ships, have a multiplayer crew, mission radar, I don't know what that is, autopilot in space, spacewalking, new missions, starship interiors, a new spacesuit, skydiving, graphical improvements, varied cockpits, and new expeditions. Now, I have at least two observations. And neither is good. So, in the first one, in Starfield's case, my observation is this is good news that you're making these changes. Why did it take over a year from the release of the game? This is almost the 2-year anniversary of Starfield now. How did it take you 2 years to make... And I'm sorry, this is the truth for how it seems to me as a player. Okay, normally I'm pretty willing to be empathetic and put myself in the dev's shoes and be like, oh, okay, this is why, right? How did it take you 2 years to do what seems to be relatively simple stuff? I'm not going to say that there aren't bigger things. I'm not going to say that there's not like certain stuff here that did take them longer. But I'm also going to say that how did it take you 2 years? Seriously. What is the skeleton crew that is left on this game? Did you leave like less than 50 people on Starfield? And you just moved everybody to Elder Scrolls 6 and you ditched it like a bad habit? Because that's not good for Starfield. That's not a good look for Bethesda. So, like, when I look at some of this stuff, there is definitely stuff that I've known for a while was coming. There is definitely stuff that, like, I've been waiting on them to do. But I will just be frank here, and I will say that the content updating pace for Starfield is fucking abysmal. I don't know what happened to Bethesda after Skyrim came out, but it feels like it's been all downhill since Skyrim. And I liked Fallout 4, but it seems like the studio is getting way too big for its own britches. And when I say studio, it's technically multiple studios, multiple teams. And it feels like it is so like monolithic and behemoth-like at this point as a studio that it's suffering from the same problems that like Blizzard suffers from. It's suffering from the same problems that like Ubisoft suffers from. It's like it's gotten too big and it now can't function efficiently. And that's what I'm seeing here with this update. Now, observation number 2. No Man's Sky, you added shipbuilding and the ability to customize it. Gee, I wonder where you got that idea, No Man's Sky. And why I'm gonna give them some shit here. They added autopilot in space. Now, Starfield's only been out 2 years. How long has No Man's Sky been out and that feature wasn't added? Should it have been a thing? Fuck yes. Because I have played No Man's Sky and that shit pissed me off that you couldn't do stuff like that. That's one of the things I just don't like about No Man's Sky. There is a lot of good stuff in No Man's Sky, but it almost feels like you've walked into a casino and there's all the flashing lights and everything is trying to distract you. That's what playing No Man's Sky feels like. It is just constant, spontaneous, random event generation. Constant. Some people like that. To me, I sit there and I go like, holy shit, this actually annoys me after a while. But like the fact that you don't have something simple like autopilot after years and years and years of this game being out is just stupid to me. It's like you shouldn't have had to wait all of this time for that to be a thing. Same thing with multiplayer crews. I'm sorry, like, this is what it is, but that's why so many people were excited for Starfield when it came out, was basically No Man's Sky had failed to deliver in some ways that Starfield was seemingly going to deliver. But then all we heard about when Starfield came out was that No Man's Sky was better than it, and that Starfield didn't deliver on the No Man's Sky premise. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't. It's not No Man's Sky. Judging it because it's No Man's Sky is kind of dumb, right? They're not the same game. But then simultaneously, No Man's Sky trying to copy Starfield is like trying to invite the comparison, if you will. So it is what it is. I'm just going to say at the end of the day, I'm disappointed almost in both games. And it's like, it's been 9 years for No Man's Sky. And at least they are still putting out free updates. But holy shit, it feels like just now we're finally getting some of the stuff that like probably should have been in No Man's Sky originally. Same thing with Starfield. You cannot keep kicking the can down the road by a year between major updates. That is just ridiculous. In the live service era, and I know technically Starfield's not a live service game, but in a live service era, you cannot go a year without updating your game. That's just fucking dumb. And I don't want to hear the like, oh, well, we updated every quarter with things like a ray tracing fix and like enabling, I don't know, like some sort of like new GUI feature. Nobody cares about that shit. That's not actual content. Bug fixing is expected, not content updates. So to me, when you put out an update and it's just like 5 lines of summarized like bug fixes, that's not an update to me. That's just you patched some bugs. That's not, hey, we've added more playability, more content. So Starfield's not the only game that does this. And we've seen it happen with a lot of games of late where their actual like update schedule is just abysmal. So bring it back full circle to like Dune. Dune also has the same problem. And Dune is a live service game. How the fuck you go 6 months without fixing the end game that people have begged you to pay attention to is ridiculous. And everybody should be not playing that game right now. You should just shelve it and wait, because you're just going to burn yourself out, because there is nothing coming in the next 6 months for that game. Same thing when we start looking at it from the perspective of the developers. They themselves see those numbers going down, and I'm sure it lights a fire under them and they want to do better for the game. But I have to sit there and wonder, like, what the heck is going on? Why is it taking so long to get some of the stuff out? Make even incremental changes at that point. Try to like get something to your players that actually fixes their issues and their concerns. Try to establish an open dialogue and talk with your player base about the changes you're going to make and ask them if they think it's good. Don't go, here's a roadmap, we're going to see you in 6 months. That's so fucking ass. I hate seeing that nowadays. I don't understand why anybody tolerates that crap from these developer studios at this point, because it's really just asking to get disappointed. I gotta take the full-blown Brave Chain here. I didn't pop the Mystico, did I? Yeah, bug fixes are not content. Exactly. Sorry for the little miniature rant, but like that, I saw that and that just like, I sat there and I was kind of like, really? Like Starfield is finally getting some content, and then simultaneously, like, really, No Man's Sky is just copying Starfield and is finally adding a basic fucking feature like autopilot? I'm just like, dude, what is wrong with everybody? And Wood, thank you for the 43. Hope you're having a good one. I think Starfield is coming to PS5 soon. They've made like rumblings that they're going to be adding a bunch of the like Xbox exclusives to Sony, which is such a like weird stance if you ask me. I think a lot of that boils down. Oh, I didn't check to see if that had an append. Thank God it does. I miss Skyrim's week of backwards flying dragons. Bugs from patches can be content. Yeah, like to a degree, honestly, I don't care about bug fixes as long as it's not a game-breaking bug. Okay, if your character is like T-posing in the game, if the characters are like glitching through the walls or falling through the world, as long as I can reload and it fix it, it can be an annoying thing. It can definitely reflect poorly on you. But do you know what I care? I care infinitely more that your game is fun. I care infinitely more that your game has content. So many games are just becoming such like soulless husks. They're so afraid to have any personality. They're so afraid to take any chances. It is decision by committee on everything. And it's one of the reasons that I just don't care too much about them. Like, I'm dead serious here. But if I were to compare Starfield to Skyrim, I would 10 out of 10 times play Skyrim over Starfield. In fact, since I've played Starfield, I have gone back and played Skyrim. And the reason why is because I'm not going to say that Skyrim has the best story. I'm not even going to say that Skyrim has the best gameplay. But it's a heck of a lot better than Starfield. It's so much better. I think the Xbox is more of a side project. I don't think it was a side project. I think Microsoft thought that that they could make Xbox take over gaming. And to understand this and to understand why this isn't a side project. Chat. Do you guys know what the most like profitable entertainment industry is? It's gaming. And it's not even close. Gaming shits on every other form of entertainment, including things like going to the movies, things like Netflix and the subscriptions there. Like, gaming dwarfs them. It's about 5 times the size, if I remember correctly, of like all the rest of them put together, which is kind of absurd. So, do I think it was a side project for Microsoft to make Xbox? No. No, Microsoft legitimately wanted their cut of the pie. They wanted an inroad into the most lucrative entertainment business, or industry really, in the world. And I don't blame them for that. But long term, what their plans were, I don't know. I think they expected that they were going to come in and that the first generation was going to be rocky, but like in their hubris, they thought that like by the time they got to the 360 that they had won. And they didn't. Because the 360 failed to kill off all of its competition, they basically had to go back to the drawing board, and then they massively fucked up the next like generation because of that. No microtransactions in movies? My brother, what do you think popcorn and drinks are? With the special popcorn bucket. What do you think the candy box that's this size, but then the bag inside the candy box is that big, and then the bag only has candy that's that much inside of it is? What do you think that is? That's called a loot box. Okay? That's called a loot box, chat. But unlike the other ones, there is never an SSR in this loot box. The SSR is like, maybe if you're lucky, a Sour Patch Kid fell in the box while it was getting packaged. And so there's your rainbow roll. What's the Battle Pass? The Battle Pass is the new like subscription plan that you can have, where it's like the like AMC loyalty program where you can go watch movies regularly. I'm not even kidding, chat. Movie Pass? Yep. That's an actual thing. The Cineplex point system. Mm-hmm. That goes to the theater and not the box office, no? I mean, do you really care who it goes to? It's all a method of extracting money from you. Also, they give you benefits if you own stock in AMC too. Amazing. Let's see. I've done all of my Ember gatherings. I apparently need to do FP summons. Speaking of which, chat, apparently Korea has the 100 spin now. They got it as an early quality of life. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, based off the interviews, I highly expect that NA will have the 100 spin soon. Highly expect it. Usually, if the JP devs go out of their way to do something for Korea, it is not very far behind that they do something for the NA/EN version of the game. Okay? So they've already dusted off the code. They've already made it happen. It's now just the case of localizing it. Probably with 3,000 days, and that's probably why I'll talk about it. Always Korea's getting good stuff before we get it. Well, that's because the Korean server's ahead of us now. Korea is on Gouda Gouda. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. So they are already a full event ahead of us. You'll never have coin problems again. This account? No, this account will never have coin problems. Ever. It's not a we'll never have coin problems again. This account has never had coin problems. And with that, did Korea accelerate? No, they're where they've been for a while now. It's a how much you want to roll FP issue. Yes. How much time do you want to waste, right? Have you been rolling FP on NA? No. No, just full transparency. No, I haven't. Is this still Flare Olga? Yeah. Wait, where was our deal call one? Gonna farm some more D20s. Oh, I am already almost to 12. Never mind. I'm further in double X than I thought. Maybe it's possible. Hold on, chat. Oh, God. Sorry, I had to like blow my nose and it was like so much. I did not want to subject chat to that. Huh. Well, this is going to be a weird one, I'm realizing. Gouda just concluded? Okay. Yeah, like I said, I know they are quite a bit ahead of us. Really don't want to touch that one yet. Will I ever play the 3 remake? Of what? Oh, Metal Gear Solid? I've thought about it. I've heard initial reports like that the performance is not good on PlayStation, but I don't care because I'm not going to play on PlayStation. But I'm still somewhat wary of things. So we'll just have to see how things go. But I'm definitely interested in it. Play the Korea server as well as the NAJP. Yeah. Do you like that they're making more units with dual MPs like Melo, Ptolemy, UDK? No. Like, full transparency, no. I think it's a really dumb idea. It's very difficult to balance, and it gets them in trouble. Oh my god, what? There we go. I think every single time they've made a unit that can switch MP types, it just kind of is like opening a can of worms. So it causes them some issues. Is the 10th year anniversary unit good? Wait, who is 10th Annie? Olga? Yeah, Olga's good. She's pretty strong in her own right, because in a similar way to like we were just talking about the ability to switch your MP type, she is also yet another unit that can lock her cards in. And that also has some like negative repercussions. Really? I think Shiki's great. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not making a judgment as to like how people feel about the character. I'm saying this from the standpoint of it always causes them issues every time they put more of these into the game. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying this is a problem of their own making. And basically, to me, it's one of those things where it's like they probably should have never designed the units that way in the first place. Like, it is what it is. I understand why people would disagree with me on that. But like, for instance, if we go back, let's say Mellison was just a really strong AoE chat. Would there be issues with Mel? Yeah, there probably still would be some. Would it be like the end of the world? Would there be like major issues? I think there would at least be balance problems with her damage output, but what it would resolve by her only being AoE and not single target is you would have literally removed the threat of people only needing to roll one unit. And that's why I say this causes them problems. So it's like, I think eventually they come to regret it. I think eventually they realize that was dumb of us. We shouldn't have done that. And then what happens is kind of like you guys have seen in like Mellison's case, look how many Lancer buffs they're handing out and why they're doing it. They're having to do it because they can't get anybody else to roll another Lancer otherwise. So I feel like if they would just keep the units kind of in their lane, so to speak, they wouldn't have that issue. And they wouldn't come to regret the choice in the end. The only choice that they might regret would be, did we make the unit too strong? And that would be it. But like when it comes to strength, we can easily make other units competitive or stronger. That's not a problem. The problem is maybe getting the devs to get off their ass and do that, but that is its own issue. Pibuse Mellison single target NP? Yeah. Would you say it's better to try to make units with unique mechanics like Mel, or just play it safe? You used a really bad example. So, would I say it's better for them to try to make units with unique mechanics? Yes. Would I say like Mel? No. I would say that's a bad idea. So, it's like saying unique mechanics means a lot of things, right? I take that to mean any mechanic that's not like a standardized thing and not like the other people. It's perfectly fine to, like, you know, go out on a limb and try stuff and experiment. I have no issue with unique mechanics. But there are some of them that you can look at and you can go, well, that was stupid of you. For instance, chat, let's look at another unique mechanic. Let's look at Oberon's third skill. You could have left off the Buster aspect entirely. And you could have made the effect of that skill still only double up sources of like character-based noble phantasm damage. So not mystic codes, not craft essences, or heck, even if you want to include mystic codes, I'll give you that. But no craft essence amplification. If you took out no craft essence amplification and you took off the Buster, Oberon is still the most broken, like, farm support in the game. Still, even with those two changes. And that's where you look at that and you go, that wasn't too smart of you, now was it? You want to know why there's a, like, huge jump in power creep since Oberon came out? That's why. They literally did not need to include some of this. They could have given him a unique mechanic. It could have been strong. It could have been very good. It would have made him the best. And then they still added like 2 additional things into it that just didn't need to be there. So then you go like, what do we do about this? And that's why the devs make Oberon disappear for 18 months after his release. And that's why the devs implement 90++ content into the game. And it's just stupid. Like, they didn't need to do that. That's a problem of their own making, right? So, like, is it okay for them to do unique mechanics? Yes. Should they maybe, like, use their brains a little bit more? Also, yes. No, so, like, where is it? I gotta find it, because if I can find it, this is absolutely great. And you guys gotta watch it.
All right.
Let me find it, chat. There it is. There it is.
All right.
Okay, chat. If you've ever seen these, you know. Oh my god, stupid fucking pop-ups. Please stop. Jesus. This is what designing Oberon was like, chat.
Sakurai, we finally finished designing Kazuya. Here, take a look. Okay, let me try him out. Damn. This character is dog shit. Huh? Think we need to make some adjustments. Okay. What do you suggest? Okay. I think in order to balance him out, we should make half of his moves have super armor. Half of his moves?
Yep.
That's a lot. But then again, I guess, Bowser gets a similar...
Just for clarification, all of this is how he is actually like designed. There's no lie told here about the actual implementation of a character.
So, sure, can't hurt that much. Also, his idle animation has super armor. His idle animation? Yes. So, like, he has Bowser's tough guy. Yes. Okay, sure. Alright, I guess that might balance. I'm not done yet. Really? And for the other half of his moves, they are invincible. You're serious? Yes. You want to make half of his moves have super armor and the other half invincible? Yes. Okay, Sakurai, I think he's pretty good now. I'm not done yet. Oh my. Next, give him a kill throw. A kill throw? Sakurai, none of the fighting game characters have kill throws. I know. But this one does. Okay, here, he has a kill throw. Are you satisfied now? Now that I think about it, give him a reflector. A reflector? Yes. Are you shitting me? Sakurai, what does he need a reflector for? I think it will help him out. Okay, Sakurai, half of his moves have super armor. The other half are invincible, which I mind you could just be used to go past projectiles. But now, he also has a kill throw and a reflector. Yeah, now that you mention it, he's still not strong enough. That's what you got out of this? I think in order to balance him out, he needs a shield break. A shield break? Yes. You just gave a shield break to Sephiroth. What is this? A shield break bargain sale? I think he really needs it. Okay, he has a shield break. Half of his moves are invincible. The other half have super armor. He has a reflector. He has idle super armor. A kill throw. What else does he need? Now that I think about it, let's just make one of his moves ignore shield. You just gave him a shield break. Yes. So to balance it out, the other move just ignore shield. Sakurai, please tell me that's it. Now that I think about it, let him fly. Fly? Yes. What do you mean he can fly now? Let him spread his wings.
He can fly now.
He's a fighting game character that can fly. What else, Sakurai? You know what, now that I think about it, yeah, he's not balanced enough. Let's give him more stuff. You're absolutely right. Sakurai, I was just... Next, let's give him a mechanic where when he's losing, he does more knockback. There's already a mechanic for that. It's called Rage. Yes, but let's make it better for him. That's just Lucario. Okay, then make it red. Now it's different. Sakurai, please tell me that's it. Okay, that is it. Thank you, Actually, now that I think about it, Sakurai, we could not possibly fit any more things into this character. Okay, let's make his taunts a moveset as well. What? Yes, let's make his taunts a 4-hit combo.
So that's literally just a taunt move.
Sakurai, when are you retiring?
And there is an entire list of all of these. Okay. So, like, that's what I'm saying is that's what it's like when you look at, like, what they did with certain characters in the game. Okay. When I look at certain units like Oberon, it's like, oh, but we did but one more thing. Okay. But it doesn't need that. Yeah, but we did it anyways. And then we did it again. And then we did another thing as well. There are just certain characters in the game that have that. And I can't explain it other than the devs just wanted to give it to the character. They wanted the character to be OP. And then you go like, huh, that's going to cause balance issues. And then the devs release it. And then the devs go, oh my God, it caused balance issues. And you're like, yes, of course it did. And the hilarious part is the devs don't even realize it when they release the character. The devs finally realize it when they release a competitive character to them. So, for instance, chat, when everybody goes, hey, if I just have Melisson, I don't need any other Lancer. And then you release a new Lancer and nobody rolls for the new Lancer. Whose fault is that? You know what? If you answered you, the player, you are right. It's your fault. How dare you get in the way of the devs and the money in your wallet? You are standing in the way of their hard-earned cash. So it's like, Space Ishtar and we're done. Yeah, it's like you do that and then you wonder why people don't roll characters. And it's like, well, obviously, that's why. You made a character too fucking strong. And when you make a character too fucking strong, everybody just gets that one character and nobody bothers to roll anything else. And it's not a shocking concept. It's exactly what you as the player trying to beat the game as efficiently as possible should be doing. You should go get the stupidly broken character. Why? It's just smart of you to. It's Cad's fault. He's the one saying Mello is still better than the new Lancer. That's because Mello is better than the new Lancer. Depending on how you want to look at it. Bashon and Indra are sad because Mello exists, pretty much. Efficient on the synchros. Exactly. And that's really all it boils down to. Like, it doesn't really matter who you're using. The idea is the stupidity of this entire thing. It's like, but one more thing. And then you're sitting there and you're like, why are the devs like this? Are they going to pull another Ender Grand bullshit in the next event? Probably. It seems like it's highly likely that it's a event to implement Noah. Which they might just use Nemo as that. So, like, it'll be Noah, but you might not have a new, like, Noah to roll. If that makes any sense. It may just be Nemo. Maybe they give you like an outfit for Nemo. But I think all things considered, they will probably just give us a new unit. And the reason why is because like it makes sense of them in terms of like money. But in that regard, Noah would probably be AoE because you already have Nemo Rider. Technically twice. Well, yeah, God, you have Nemo single target, and then you have Santa, and Santa is AoE. Honestly, I don't think you're getting Noah as a summonable unit. I don't think it will be. Because they've already got 2 versions of Nemo in the same class. I don't think they're going to do 3. They might, but my gut is telling me they won't do that. So I don't know what they're going to do. Noah's the support confirmed? I mean, that could be a thing. They did it with BB? Oh, yeah. Just because they've done it before, though, doesn't mean they'll do it again. Odds are against it. Like, for instance, there are over 3 Artorias that are sabers, right? So could they do it? Is there precedence to do it? Yes. Will they? I think the odds are against it. Like, just historically over the span of FGO, it does not happen very often. I want elephant penguin hybrid inside the arc. Yes. BB is because she can only be a moon cancer. You know, I feel like with summer everything's possible. But yes, that is at least what they have done. Also, behold, chat. Looping with T Woman. I want Cuckoo Lily, it'd be fun. Cuckoo Lily. No, I don't want Cuckoo Lily. I don't need any more children in this game. Sorry. And even if it's like, oh well, she's a teenager, I'm like, I still don't want to see it. Is Summer Musashi a good arts looper in 90++? There's some nodes where you could probably make it work, but usually the answer to that is going to be no. The real question is, do you feel like you have to do 90++? Yeah, in that regard, I'm at least a little like sad at the summer choices this year. But like I said, I know that's not unique to me. I'll take Cuckoo Summer instead. Yeah. Yeah, I would rather just straight up have Cuckoo Summer. Like, I think one of the things I'm tired about is that, like, everything has to get toned down. Like, frankly, just being honest here, the fact that they felt like they had to tone down Passion Lip Summer is ridiculous to me. I want Tamamo Aria, but give her an adult ascension? That'd be interesting. I think what we're seeing, though, over the years now is that, like, the devs have just legitimately not had time to fit in more units. As much as, like, the desire maybe for the character is there, the devs just haven't had the time for it. And it does make me wonder, like, is that something that maybe we'll see now, like with part 2 coming to a close? I couldn't tell you. Is Summer Musashi good in CQs? Yes. I'm not sure if the game is getting like 10 more summers. Yeah, I like... Obviously, I think that's a concern. And as much as we want to say like FGO has a future, the future is far more finite now. Like years ago at like 5th Annie, we knew that they had plans through year 10. Now we know they have plans through year 11. That's not good. Like, we literally know that the devs have plans for another year instead of the devs have plans for like 5 more years. I don't think that instills much confidence in them. I think it shows that the devs... Sorry, let me be clear here. Not single. I think what it shows is that Type Moon wants to be done with this game. And that is upsetting. because I think, frankly speaking, while games do come to a close, games do have an end. Let's be real, chat. You have a sense of entitlement about this game. Now, here's the question that you should ask yourself. Should you? Should you have entitlement? Should you feel like the devs owe you something and that the devs should have to continue to support the game? And when I say devs there, I do mean like Type Moon. Okay. But ask yourself that question. Do you deserve to be entitled? Stop killing games, yeah. Yes, we're paying customers. Yep. So there is like in a lot of ways, I'm usually not somebody that's big on the sense of entitlement. Okay. The reason why I think players can have a sense of entitlement with this game and nobody can tell them otherwise is because players have given this game so much fucking money over the years. It's the truth. Like, let's just be honest, chat. They have made billions, not millions. They have made billions off of this game, chat. It has not cost them billions to make the game. They have had such an absurd profitability off of this game that obviously we're going to feel entitled. Now, the question is that fair? So, where'd the billions go? Well, some of it went to Sony. Some of it went to Aniplex. Some of it went to Type Moon. Some of it went to Lasengle. And chat? Some of it went right into Nasu's pocket. Had to. So when Nasu bitches and whines, and Nasu says that he wants to be done with the game, but then Nasu says he's not going to abandon it, you need to understand that this is why. It's this, chat. So can you feel entitled? Yes. Yeah. The reason Nasu has money to do anything is you. It is what it is. So when Nasu complains and he's crying into his like dollar bills, I don't feel bad. I'm sorry. I don't. Like, I'm sure that must suck, making millions of dollars. Damn. Feels bad, man. If Nasu wants out, let him out? No. No. Nope. Not letting him out. Sorry. Because if Nasu gets out, I'm not spending billions. It is what it is. Crying in his yacht. Yep. And that is a problem of Nasu's own making. Nasu bites off way more than he can chew. And Nasu does not train people to be able to, like, take over for him. He does not delegate well. So, I don't really give a rat's ass. I understand people want to think like, oh, he needs to take care of himself. He needs to put himself first. That's true. But he understands that if he does that, the cash cow is slaughtered. And you can't bring it back. So, to me, should you feel entitled for the game to continue? Yes. If the game does end sometime in the near future, should you be upset? Yes. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. As a longtime player of the game, as somebody that, for me personally, I have given them a ton of money, a ton of time, a ton of investment. Would I be upset? Yes. And would I feel entitled to be so? Yes. Yes, I would. And it just is what it is. Be careful, you don't want artists to lash out of their work. I don't care. If he does that, he ruins his own legacy. It's unhealthy thinking, but blame capitalism, not us? No, I don't think it's unhealthy thinking at all. I think it's a reasonable expectation, chat. Chat. If you've spent money on FGO, why did you spend money? I spend money on things I enjoy. That's fine. Because I like the game and enjoy it. Okay? Now, chat, are you saying there's no expectation when you spend money? You just spend money because you want to support? You're not getting anything out of it? We expect a service or a product from it. Exactly. And yep, you expect that that product will continue. And people have given a lot of money to this game. They can end it, but if they end it, they have a problem. And chat, I haven't seen it yet. I have yet to see a major gacha game shut down in Japan. Let me clarify. I'm talking one of the gacha games that basically was at some point a top contender. I have yet to see the shutdown of a Grand Blue Fantasy. I have yet to see the shutdown of a Fate Grand Order. I have yet to see the shutdown of something that has actually pumped out billions of dollars. And the reason why, I think these live service games know, and they fear that point because it opens them up to all number of things. When they do that, there will probably be lawsuits. How airtight it is will remain to be seen. But there will probably be lawsuits when one of these major ones finally goes under. Company stocks take a dive. Yeah. Because people are going to say, you stopped supporting the game. You just kept milking it. You took all of our money. We didn't get anything out of this. And the service just ended. And it's going to make people upset. Also, we might be entitled, but entitled to what exactly? Well, the idea behind entitlement is that you feel like you're owed something. The connotation with entitlement is usually that it's not a good thing. It's usually the idea that somebody feels entitled when they shouldn't be. But sometimes there is entitlement when there should be. What do I mean? Well, like, for instance, chat, if you're a noble by birth, you are entitled to hold your title. You are entitled to sit there and think that you're important. Are you? I don't know. But is it justified? Yes. Now, it doesn't excuse people to act like an asshole. But it would excuse people from, again, feeling like they're important. That is understandable. They are actually entitled. Same thing here with a gacha game. I'm not saying we're all nobles, but the idea behind it is that people have spent money to support the game. They have paid in, if you will, and invested in it. And the idea is that it continues as a service. Shutting the game down overnight would just piss everybody the fuck off. And you will not see a higher, like, brand destruction, I think, than any. And, like, we can expand this beyond gacha games, okay? Let's expand this to live service entries as a whole. Chat, why hasn't WoW closed down? Why hasn't League of Legends closed down? They know. If they ever actually shut them down, nobody's buying their next product. Nobody's going to get it because it tells you that it's a cash grab. So they have to continue supporting these things. And therein is the entire stop killing games issue. What happens when a studio just says, no, I'm not going to keep supporting it? And you don't have any recourse. Therein lies the issue. Didn't Mega Man Gacha Shutdown just release that as an offline game? One of them did it. I don't know if it was Mega Man that did it or not. But no, I mean, I've seen people say like I saw several people in chat saying like, oh, this game or that game was like big. It's like, no, chat, they're not at the level that like some of these other ones are. Is something a cash grab after being around for 20 plus years? At that point, it's a proper business. Is something a cash grab after being around for 20 plus years? Fucking yes. Yeah, chat. Allow me. To anyone that still plays, is League a cash grab? I'll wait. Yes. Yeah. Why? It's easy to go like, well, it's been 20 years, Cad. But chat, it'd be one thing if they just kept the lights on for 20 years and there was no additional releases. It's another thing when there are routinely adding skins and other microtransactions the entire time. Like, we can call it a business if you want, but it's definitely still cash grabbing. And that's why you see, like, for instance, in League's case, the price of the skins just keeps going up. It's the same idea as, like, CSGO and gambling in that game. It's done specifically for the idea of, while they keep the lights on and do the bare minimum to maintain the game, so that they can keep milking you at every step of the process. And because of that, you have every right to feel entitled. Because they keep trying to milk you, you should absolutely feel entitled that they have to keep going. So chat, unless they start making the banners free, unless they stop releasing new units into the game, should you feel entitled for the game to go on? Yes. Yes, you should. In fact, you could pretty much start a timer, and I'm going to say, at minimum, from 6 months after the last new thing they release into the game, would be how long you should expect the game to continue to keep operating. Isn't everything a cash grab by that definition? No, because I'm specifically limiting it to microtransactions. Like, there is something inherently predatory about microtransactions. And if you can't understand that, I can't help you. Okay? Like, it is just the nature of it. It is designed to emulate gambling. And if you don't see that, then yeah, you're probably fine with this. But to me, I see it for what it is. Uma Musume has been a top 3 game in Japan since as long as FGO, if not longer. AK, what the fuck is that comment? Of course that's not true. Why would you think that comment is true? I saw something where they were talking about his 10th anniversary. It was a commercial or something. Or for what? On my way to work. Nice, easy. If they're ending service, they need to declare it at least 1 year ahead, so else it's a grab and run. Yeah. And chat, we do know that they're not, but what we're seeing is that Nasu's trying to say, I want to do the post work. Okay? So what he means when he says this, and the vibe that I get, is similar to like how he acted with like Tsukihime. And how eventually he would release like the occasional like new arc and chapter with a new character every once in a blue moon. That's what I see that being. But what he's thinking in his mind is that he can transition FGO into a game where he only has to update it like once a year. And that will not work. And he deserves to basically be called out if he tries that. You don't get to update a game consistently for 10 years, milk people for all they're worth, and then suddenly be like, yeah, we're switching the content pace down to once a year now. Like, ain't no fucking way. You'll get called out for that, and you'll deserve it. Go play your anime girls game, man. Yeah. Uma Musume is getting up there with FGO. One day that'll be true. With the recent Uma Musume release, they are winning. What is the point, chat, that you guys are trying to make? Like, all right, I hate to say it, but Uma Musume fans, like, you're making me basically want to, like, clap back at you guys. Because you guys are spouting such nonsense right now. Like, is Uma Musume doing good? Yes. Why the fuck are you guys sitting here trying to make these claims of it's doing the same thing as FGO. It's now as old as FGO suddenly. That is literally the claim you guys are making, which is stupid because it's not true. Like, I don't know how else to say this, but it's like you guys are standing the game so hard right now. You're just spouting actual untrue things. Ultimately, the game will end at some point. Hopefully, it's with a bang and not with a whimper. I think he wants it to be a bang. I think that's what he wants this to be right here. It's going to be with a whimper, chat. That's the sad part. It doesn't deserve it, but it probably will be eventually. We build a great team of writers. That's the problem, though, Play, is that he won't do it. He'll only work with people that he's worked with before that he can trust. Oh, it definitely took them a while to release. I think we should at least be thankful FGO gets to finish its story. Many games don't get that luxury. Yeah, I do agree with that. But I'm also going to say FGO doesn't need to finish its story. The fact is, Uma Musume is as old as FGO. Huh? No, that's not true. What? No. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about, chat. Being perfectionist is the biggest weakness and reason why FGO is given this much to the community. Being perfectionist has nothing to do with it, ironically enough. Like, I'd say it certainly has something to do with the quality, but it is one of the reasons, actually, that, like, okay, perfectionism is going to result in a higher quality product, right? I think we can all agree on that. But perfectionism is also why it has taken you so long. Perfectionism is why you go so far in between content releases. So it is a almost net zero because of that. Basically, Nasu spends so long perfecting something that we get some really good stories out of it, but also we have things where, like, LB6 was entirely rewritten. Also, you have things like LB4 got delayed because it couldn't be released on time. Also, you have things like, oh, LB7 had to be delayed multiple times And they had to publicly apologize for it because of this. So like it is both a good and a bad thing. And that's why like to me it's net zero. Uma Musume is like 4 years old. It's not even close. Yeah, I don't know why people are saying that. People are just actually insane. I guess the anime came out in 2018. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to say, though, chat, guess what? If you get to include the anime, we get to include all of Fate. And therefore, I dunk on you and win. So no, they are not as old. Stop using disingenuous things. Like, I don't know how else to say it that way. I can only assume people are conflating the IP with the game, that people actually give a shit about it now. Yeah. And honestly, look, I'm going to say this. I already know of some people that are thinking of quitting Uma Musume. I think the game has lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, but I also see that people are just getting tired of it. In the same way that like people don't like FGO's combat, I see a similar scenario happening with Uma Musume. People don't like the RNG aspect of it. Now, does that make Uma Musume bad? No. But I am going to... chat. The more Uma Musume gets brought up, the more I will talk about stuff like that. Basically just to curb you guys. Because this is an FGO channel. We don't need to be talking about Uma Musume here. Other than when it's relevant to a conversation. Which I think is fine. So it's like, it's fine to bring it up. Just don't try to inject it into everything. Uma will last in JP. Yeah, I do agree with that. But I think like what someone brought up Magia the other like a couple bit ago, and the global version of Magia got shut down, but the JP version's still going as far as I understand. So it's like that happens. You see things where it's like the Japanese version of stuff continues on, the global version is maybe what dies. Which, let me be clear here too, chat. The global version of FGO is not in trouble. NA is our global version, and NA is the second most profitable server for FGO. We are more profitable than Korea and China, okay, and Taiwan. So NA doesn't have anything to worry about in that regard. We need to talk about ZZZ, obviously. No, I mean, I would say the same thing if somebody started really trying to, like, pimp ZZZ in the chat, right? You guys know, it's just how I am. And part of the reason I have to be this way, so that you guys understand, I'm not going to hold this against you, but so that you guys understand why I have to, like, curb you guys sometimes, it's because if I don't, you guys will literally just take over this gacha stream and make it about any game other than FGO. Why? We probably don't need to get into that, but some of y'all are addicts. That's really all it is. I love you guys, but I have noticed that this is just a problem in the gacha community. People can't not try to get every other person present to play some other gacha game. It just is what it is. The FGO AX panel was packed to capacity. Yeah. You can say dick in chat. Yeah. FGO's combat has spoiled me to the point that I don't enjoy turn-based combats where I don't get the first action or with speed mechanics. I know what you mean. I have a hard time sometimes playing other turn-based games because I'm just so used to FGO systems and it has so many bells and whistles compared to like a lot of other turn-based games are really like simple in comparison. Pretty sure Steam's marked as mature. Yeah, in general, though, I don't try to like curse up a storm, so. Unless somebody else was censoring themselves, which I understand. I can quit it whenever I want. Yeah. FGO copied Golden Sun. I mean, you're not wrong to a degree. But like, no, like I said, Magi record on JP did shut down. Okay. That's news to me. That I didn't realize. Oh, right, yeah, because they have the new one, so that's why. But no, like seriously, chat, I'll get heated over this stuff, but it's usually because we're trying to have a conversation, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll see like 5 to 10 people just start spouting off about like some other gacha game. And the reason that is bothering me is because usually I'm having a conversation with like the topic at hand specific to FGO. And then instead, it feels like there's just a wave of people that come in and try to like basically wash the chat out with like, hey everyone, here's your simp check. Are you playing this new hot gacha game? And it's like, no, we really don't need to have like some sort of like chat-wide affirmation for that stuff. Count Dragalia lost as an ended gacha game. I'm gonna be real with you. I have not heard anything about Dragalia lost in like forever. Didn't they shut it down? I think it did. I honest to God don't know. Nor do I think Dragalia Lost was ever really that big. So. Dragalia Lost is huge in JP, if I remember correctly. See, I think like something like that is easy to say, but whether or not it is, I don't know. Like, I can't really fact check you other than I can go look at like, you know, what's on top for the gacha. Holy moly, the booba? Yes. Crystal of Atlan just got a Digimon collab. I just heard about Crystal of Atlan like 2 months ago. Takeuchi's birthday tomorrow? Nice. Actually, you got some sauce for that? Because I don't want to like go get one guide and post to Twitter and then, oh shit, I was wrong. Do you think the next 20% Bonsi that JP will get in the MP shop in 3 days? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I care. Like, we have so many of them. I feel like they're gonna probably stop doing 20% Bonsies. I get that they need to like get people to spend on the stuff, but for me personally, I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. Chat. Tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. Would you care if the devs never put another Mana Prism Shop C into the shop at this point? I wouldn't give a fuck. Yeah, I feel like we already have just such really like good options. There are way too many things you need to buy. I'm actually surprised that like that's something that they haven't just let fall by the wayside. There's really no reason to keep doing it. Other than like, you know, we want power creep in terms of how we can bond. So it's one of eventually many. So like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's so many options already. You struggle to fit all of the options into your comp. I really don't think I care. Like, I'm dead serious. One of the only things I think that they could do that would maybe shake things up a bit is they'd have to give you like a CE that gave you bond and like charge or something like that. And that'd be the only thing I think that they could really do. I wish the C's cost less in the Mana Prism shop, man. Dude, I kind of agree, actually. And they fixed the Rare Prism economy already. Honestly, Mana Prisms need more fixing than Rare Prisms. There's only one thing that arguably needs to be fixed for Rare Prisms. And chat, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong. The only thing that needs to be fixed for Rare Prisms: Bond Grails. Tell me I'm wrong. Make your case, chat. The C's costing 25 Rare Prisms is a lot. Yeah, it is. You also aren't required to have those C's. Do we need an alternate source for Rare Prisms? No. You would if all of the Rare Prism shop needed adjusting. Do you know what you actually need? You need a persistent alternate inflow of Bond Grails. You need to be given a Bond Grail every single month for free. And when I say free, like, they can make you do something like maybe like the equivalent of master missions or something, right? But like, that should actually be it. I thought you were gonna spell pain. No. That's really all it is. You just need a persistent like source of Bond Grails such that people that don't have Rare Prisms can still get them and not feel like they're like stopped if they run out. But if you fix that, I don't think Rare Prisms have any issues whatsoever. Like, there's obviously things that are more expensive, there are things that are hard to get, but like, and I'm gonna say this comes with the express understanding that you need Rare Prisms to be like there shouldn't be something you can't get with Rare Prisms. Like, there shouldn't be a mystic code that's unavailable. There shouldn't be a craft essence that's unobtainable. At least of the like major craft essences, I would say. So it's like, assuming that everything is available, I only really see Bond Grails as the issue. Mana Prisms, on the other hand, are way worse because the amount of spending that you can do on Mana Prisms has only gone up over time, and the sources has barely increased, especially for free-to-play people. Oh, I had 3 Bond Grails up to then, 2 already used, yeah. Yeah, trust me, chat. I mean, I could prove the Mana Prism point. These aren't unlocked. I can't even do that because again, ordeal call prologue, right? So the only thing I think I've bought these two specifically. And I have 3,000. So this is the sum total of mana prisms this account has gained since it started. That is fucking pathetic. Chat, that is not even enough for one MLBC. And I'm only buying the tickets in the shop. I'm not buying the foes. I'm not buying the experience cards. That is fucking pathetic. Mana prisms are so ass to gain in this game. But yeah, that's really all it is. Like, the only additional source that the devs have added really in the last like 2 years, and did we just get one on JP and I'm misremembering? But it's like literally when you actually roll banners now, you get mana prisms. That's it. That's the only one. And the problem is, as a free to play, you don't roll very often. So for a free to play, mana prisms are just straight ass. That was the summer CAD? No, but there's something else JP just recently did. I'm trying to remember. All the Bond music tonight. Okay. Bond music for the FGO Bond talk. I love Bond music. I've watched all the James Bond movies. I don't know why, but it was just like, it was kind of like a family tradition for a while when we were growing up that like we would just sit down and watch several of the Bond movies because my dad and my brother are huge fans of them too. And I've always found them to at least be entertaining, if nothing else. Like, that's where the stereotypical line about, like, the hero offing somebody and then, like, he has to have a quip right afterwards comes from, is the James Bond movies. It's like, oh, I guess he needed to cool off. It's like, man, he really lost his head. Who's your favorite Bond actor? I'm gonna be honest with you. I like a lot of them, including Daniel Craig, but like at the end of the day, Sean Connery is the iconic James Bond. He is James Bond. Everybody else is just trying to act like Sean Connery. Sorry. I'm Sean Connery. By the way, chat, when were we supposed to get the pity change that applies to second and additional copies beyond that? Was that supposed to be coming up here at okay, it was 9th Annie, so it was not at New Year's. Okay, just pure warning, chat. That was thunder. So if you lose me, it's probably due to a power outage. So we're confirming that it's the 10th, right, Avalon? Indiana Jones Great Circle DLC September 4th. I don't remember if I get it for free or not. I don't think I do. And if I don't, I'm probably not going to get it. I liked that game. It was actually a pretty fun game. But sort of like the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games, it's the epitome of a game that, like, you should not pay more than $20 for. And so, to me, while it was fun, I also don't see much point in spending a big chunk of cash for a DLC. That'll probably add an additional, like, 5 hours to the game. Okay, this one might be longer than I thought. I can see you just post for it too. Yeah, please do. Sorry, hold on, chat, 1 second. Okay. Oh, yes, cafenaver.com. Oh, please, it's an image. No. You bastards. Why is everything an image? Yeah, that's unfortunately worthless to me then. Not anything I can do with that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started here. Hey guys, my name's Kadroth, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the 3000 Days celebration coming up here on NA. This will be happening a little bit earlier than projected because of NA just having skewed dates compared to JP. And this is significant because the 3000 Days celebration campaign is a pretty big milestone and has a lot going on with it. Now, for NA, we could expect this on September 10th. This is pretty much going to be our 3,000 day point. So again, you guys can expect this probably at some point in the Wangina event with it already being active. So what can you guys expect from this campaign? Well, there are numerous things like login rewards where you'll get some quartz given to you. Again, just the actual 3,000 days bonus that gives everybody 10 quartz. And then obviously certain things like teapots. So again, if you guys have been sitting on that to do like, say, Flare Olga or anything like that, this should give you guys a new amount of them. And then also things like your apples and your tickets. From there, there's also a limited time comeback login bonus for anybody that's returning to the game. Obviously, most of you guys, that won't be an issue, but there's also going to be 2 other major things here. But let's go over some of the minor stuff first. So there will be some missions that will be available to you guys during this event. And when I say event, sorry, it's a campaign, not a proper event. So it's just going to be something where you guys are going to want to make sure you're logging in and doing these missions. And again, you guys can see you're going to have missions basically to clear quests, because there will be an SR selector ticket that we'll go over here in a minute. Doing those with the unit that you pull from that, leveling the unit up, getting them through their final ascension, and then also leveling up their skills and their bond, as well as using their noble phantasm, is what's going to get you all of these rewards. So you will get a ton of nice stuff. There will also be other campaigns here for leveling the selected servant, as well as damage bonus on the servant. And you will also have Ember Gathering and Training Field quests all being open at the same time. Though, like I said, this will probably happen during the Wangina event for us, so we might not be able to take full advantage of it. And then obviously, we're also going to have a summoning campaign alongside this. And this is significant because this is going to be the return of Castoria after a long sort of hiatus for her, as well as Morgan Le Fay. So obviously, there will be some really, really nice units on Raid Up. You guys, I highly recommend you consider rolling on both of these units for various reasons. They are both very strong units in their own right. They're both very capable, especially Castoria. She is one of, if not the game's most meta support. So it's a good idea to kind of keep your eye on when she's going to be getting banners. Even my new player account will be rolling this banner. So this is one that I've had my eye on for a while. There will also be some craft essences that are pretty decent here, including Apex, which is all attack scaling. And that one's pretty much going to be the one that you should actually focus on. Springtime Kodo Strings is okay, but it's split stats, so it's not one you'll necessarily want to level. And then Gloucester in 2018 is also at least a decent 4-star Star Bomb type of craft essence. So there are some decent things that you guys can get just from rolling in the manner. But the big thing you guys are going to want to be here for is the SR selector. And so we're going to go through it all with you guys and try to give you the best idea that you can for what to expect. However, do keep in mind, this campaign might also get additional things. Currently, right now, Korea on their end just had a huge quality of life dump for new things getting added to them. They usually have it happen once a year, and it just happened for them. So it is possible that with the JP devs maybe dusting off the code to hand it over to Netmarble over there for Korea, that they maybe give us some as well here for something like the 3,000 days celebration. And why would that be significant? Well, for starters, they had 2 major adjustments in that grouping that I think players would really like to know about. The first is the 100 spin on their FP, and the second is the adjustment to having pity apply to every single copy of a 5-star unit instead of just the first copy on a banner. So those 2 changes are pretty significant. They're really good quality of lives that I would hope that we could get early on in A, but we'll just have to see. Don't get your hopes up. If we get it, we get it. But at the end of the day, it's just something to be aware of that Korea did just get that sort of adjustment and change. Now, as we look at the SR ticket, the way this one's going to work is that this one will have certain limited and story locked units available in this one. That is a relative rarity. Normally, it's just normal units and story locked units. We don't get any limiteds. So this one will be significant because it'll be different from our normal SR tickets. Now, we don't get SR tickets very often anymore. We used to get them very frequently, but the devs have kind of dragged their feet on giving them out nowadays because there have been more things like SSR tickets and stuff like that. But basically, the requirement for this is just going to be that you clear Fuyuki. The special ticket will be sent to your present box once the exchange period is open, and the exchange is done in the DaVinci Workshop. So you'll have to have gotten the ticket, and then basically you go into the DaVinci Workshop for the selector. Now, basically what you're going to do is you're going to select the servant. They will join your roster temporarily, and they will be removed after basically, I think it's like about a 15-day, like 2-weekish grace period if the requirements for keeping the unit are not met. And the requirements are that you have to reach at least the first ascension stage for the unit and bond level 3 the unit in order to make them join permanently. That's not too big of a requirement, but some of you guys might need statues or something to get them through the ascension, so it is what it is. But again, it should be a really easy thing for most of you guys to actually manage to make these units permanent. Now, you can only pick one SR servant upon which the ticket is consumed afterward, and the exchange shop is closed. So it's not like you get to pick like one of each class or anything like that. This is just a single selection. So I'm going to do my best to kind of highlight, at least from each grouping, who I think is a good idea, who I think at least gameplay wise performs well and adequately and is worth your attention. And I will try to give you guys a little bit of a blurb about each one. So here we go. All right, starting off right here in the beginning, we have the Sabers. Now, Saber Alter is a story locked unit. She is the game's gold standard as far as AoE damage goes. So she's a very good unit for you guys to pick up with this ticket. And that is absolutely appropriate at this point because a lot of people probably need her for the additional MP levels or for the additional servant coins. Given the fact that she is a story locked unit, she is definitely high on people's priority list, both due to the desirability of the character in general, but also due to the gameplay performance that she now has. As again, even as a 4-star, Saber Alter is the strongest AoE Saber currently in the game. Next up, we have Nero, just the original version of her. She is also a story locked unit, so you will see a lot of people actually still try to pick her up, again, even just for collection copies, if not for coins. Story locked units are usually a decent option in that regard, and so you will see me mention them time and time again. But I will say again that she's kind of come a long way. She's both good as a challenge unit and as a decent farming unit nowadays, so she could definitely be a choice, but it's up to you to determine if you want to go after her. Sumanai, he's a permanent unit. I'm going to say for the majority of these, while Siegfried is a really good like AoE Saber, he's not someone you've got to have. He's just somebody that, again, a lot of people manage to stumble their way into and use him as their go-to Saber for a while. So he could be a good one. If you really like him, feel free to go after him. But to me, probably not who I would pick with the ticket. Chevalier de Eon, definitely not who I would pick with the ticket. You have numerous other tank options in FGO, and most of them are a lot more and better budget choices than maybe going after de Eon with the ticket. Rama is okay. He definitely has some competition with Watanabe, though he does get a little bit better in terms of performance in comparison to him. So the choice is yours. Again, he's a really, really good demonic killer in effect. But the issue that you'll have, again, is that he's permanent and doesn't really have any charge, so to speak. Lancelot Saber has finally had an NP interlude. His damage output is a whole lot better, but we do still have really good things. And this is something that you guys will have to consider a lot as we move through these, is your welfares that are available to you, as we are coming into an era of the game where the pilgrimage festivals are going to be pretty constantly coming now, and that will start giving you more and more and more welfare options. Lancelot Saber still a really, really good high octane damaging saber, but he is not necessarily going to be somebody that you have to have anymore. And there is definitely a whole lot of like competitors for that kind of like single target slot now. Gawain, definitely, I'd say he's like middle of the road. He's gotten a lot of love to try to keep him relevant, but the problem that we have here is when it comes to 4 stars, Saber Alter is just that strong. So if you like the Potato Man, feel free to go for him. He is definitely one of the game's himbos and absolutely a fantastic character. But gameplay performance leaves a little bit to be desired. He doesn't have a whole lot of charge, though he can still provide the sun buff for himself and for other units like, say, Barcast, where maybe you would need somebody like him in order to provide it. Suzuka Gozen is okay. I think she's also a little bit of a clunky 4-star unit. Could probably use some love in comparison to Salter at this point. So to me, if you really like the JK Fox, go for her. She's an AoE Buster Saber, just like Gawain before. And it's up to you if you want to actually go after her. But again, this is going to be one of these hard choices where we have to try and pick and choose who we actually want. And it's really just going to come down for a lot of people either to gameplay considerations, coin considerations, or, again, just their favorite character. Fran Saber is our first limited on this list. She is a limited unit from Summer 2, and she is going to be coming to us here. She hasn't really gotten much in the way of upgrades over the years, so at this point, I feel like she could definitely be surpassed by a lot of welfares. But the choice is yours. She is a pretty decent single target quick saber that can loop due to the insane NP gain that she has. Yagyu has at least gotten some buffs. It's helped him, but frankly speaking, Yagyu's biggest issue is that he's kind of a one and done type of unit. His skill durations leave a little bit to be desired. So to me, while he is story locked, I wouldn't necessarily recommend picking him up here on this. And then we get another summer unit. So this is going to be another limited one here with basically Mabe Saber. Mabe Saber definitely has some issues with her debuffs on her NP needing to land. Nice shot. That's where a lot of her damage output's going to come from. It basically applies defense downs to the enemy. And it can, if you line everything up, do some pretty decent damage. But the fact of the matter remains that most other units don't have to do anything like that to get decent damage. So the choice is yours as to whether or not you want to go for Mabe. But again, she's a limited unit, so it does make her an intriguing option. Diarmid Saber is single target quick, but he is permanent. I don't really recommend him. I feel like Diarmid Saber could use a buff at this point. But we'll see if the devs do more with him in that regard. Len Ling is an interesting option. While he is a permanent one, he is a pseudo support here. He does have buff success chance in his kit. He also has arts up, and due to his more recent buff, he's actually a lot better now at not having to choose who he gives the buff success chance to, because he used to have to make a difficult choice between himself or some other target. Now he can just apply it to the entire party, which is really, really nice. Then we have Lakshmi. Lakshmi is an AoE quick saber. She is also another really intriguing one. She can loop now a lot better thanks to her upgrade giving her charge. But ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of people are still going to use her for her supportive capabilities, including her guts and her ability to target somebody with an invuln that can also heal. She also does have buff success chance built into her kit. Tomoe Saber has had at least a decent buff to help her out, but she is still no Muramasa. I really like girls with big crits, and Tomoe Saber will definitely do that for you. She still has one of the best summer designs, in my opinion, overall. She is a limited summer unit. She is an AoE art saber, so if you're looking for something like that, she can definitely get the job done. However, she is still very clunky to use, and the refund absolutely could be better. So again, choice is yours. Saito Hajime is a permanent unit. He is actually a pretty decent single target looping saber, and he did recently get a buff on JP. So his numbers are intriguing now due to that, and he has been shored up a little bit. He's never been a bad unit. He's always been pretty serviceable and pretty good. So in that regard, feel free to go after him if you want. He is basically the game's version of Virgil, and he is, again, a single target arts looping saber. Next up, we end up having basically Watanabe. Watanabe is, as we mentioned before, the competitor to Rama. Whereas Rama is anti-demonic, Watanabe is anti-demonic and anti-Oni. Definitely has a little bit more of a modernized kit. I like Watanabe a little bit better, but the choice is yours if you want to go after him. Next up here, we have Barghest. A lot of you guys are going to pick Barghest just because you really like her. That's perfectly fine. Barghest is still a really, really solid challenge unit. AoE damage, she leaves a little bit to be desired. So if you do pick her up and you've never used her before, do understand that the damage output might not be the best. But realistically speaking, she's still a pretty good unit. The big thing that she has issue with is that she deals more damage in Sunlight Battlefield, just like Gawain. However, unlike Gawain, she does not provide the Sunlight Battlefield for herself, so that is one of her weaknesses. Next up here, we have Roland. Roland is a permanent unit. He is a single target buster saber with 30% charge, and again, the ability to sort of buff strip his enemies. So it does make him a pretty intriguing choice if you're looking for a single target saber. Maybe you're pretty buster pilled, and that would make him a decent option for you here. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's not someone that you gotta pick, and he might spook you at some point. Summer Gareth is another interesting one. She is also AoE buster. She also deals more damage when on Sunlight Battlefield, and she can provide the Sunlight Battlefield herself. That is her one advantage. Unfortunately, her damage output leaves a whole lot to be desired. They did Summer Gareth dirty. She absolutely could use a like Noble Phantasm interlude or something like that. Something to really buff her damage output. But we'll see. Maybe the devs will kind of revisit her at some point in the future. And then last but not least, we have Keisuke here. Keisuke is another intriguing option. He's basically a Shinsen Gumi support, though frankly speaking, I don't really recommend him too much unless you just really like the character, because Keisuke ends up having a little bit lackluster optimization and capability compared to maybe just using other more devoted supports. So at the end of the day, I think he's not somebody that you necessarily are going to want to pick with this ticket. Okay, next up we start the archers. So we start out with our good old red man here, Mr. Emiya. Emiya is an interesting one. He has definitely gotten a ton of upgrades over the years. His damage performance is okay, and he actually has some pretty insane looping capability now due to the adjustment to his third skill. The issue that you have is that he's actually kind of clunky with how that skill operates, so it doesn't result in a like completely fluid 3-turn most of the time, and there is some issues as to when the steroids actually can be activated for him in order to change up his damage output. So usually a lot of people will try to make Emiya take out like 2 of the waves instead of all 3, and they'll maybe have somebody else handle one of the waves for him. But he is an intriguing option, especially if you just like the Fate Stay Night cast. He's definitely somebody you guys can go for, even though he is permanent. He is both AoE buster and technically also AoE arts. And then next up here we have Atalanta Archer. Atalanta is still a really good quick looping AoE archer, and who knows, maybe Quick is coming into a new era in and of itself now that we have Tiamat into the game. This will be an interesting one. Pairing alongside Tiamat could be interesting in the sense that she is definitely somebody that can crit and generate a ton of stars, but Tiamat comps don't usually have that sort of issue. So to me, the lack of charge is going to be kind of something that hurts her a little bit. I do think she's a really solid option as a looping AoE archer, but ultimately at the end of the day, she's entirely refund based. So you're going to have to be very careful with how you use her. Tristan is another story-locked single-target archer here. He is single-target quick. He's got 50% charge. And thanks to at least more recent upgrades, he at least kind of keeps pace with Balbon Sith some. Though, frankly speaking, I think Balbon Sith still has a little bit of the better kit. But we'll get to her when we get to her. So Tristan could be a decent option for your single-target archer needs, but maybe not what I would pick necessarily with the ticket. Next up, we have the Yuri Pirate Archers. This is another limited unit. This is their summer version. And this version does have a gut skill. It's actually where they got the inspiration to fix the writer version of them. And so for a while, the archer version had been kind of the better option. The biggest issue that you have is that they are not very high in terms of damage output. So to me, I don't really necessarily recommend it unless you really like them. Next up here, we have Dimia Archer. Dimia is basically going to be your single target arts version of Dimia. He definitely still does decent output in terms of raw damage. He also can drain enemies with his NP, similar to Squirtoria. The big issue that he has is his overall refund and lack of charge. His kit is still pretty straightforward, so there's not a whole lot going on for him. But he can be a decent option for your single target archer category. Next up here is another summer unit. We have Helena Blavatsky Archer. She is AoE arch. She has party-wide charge, just like her caster form does. But the damage output leaves a lot to be desired, and her looping numbers are not great. Ironically enough, she can Black Grail loop, but unless you're a huge Helena fan, I really don't recommend it. Next up here, we have Tomoe Archer. Tomoe is single target buster. Just love the design still of Tomoe in general. Her damage output is still pretty stellar. She has had an NP interlude that has helped her out a little bit for a 4-star. The big issue you're going to have is that, again, she doesn't have charge, so you're going to have to kind of either work your way to an NP or just start her out with enough support to have the NP already. Next up here, we have Fujino, basically, and Fujino is a pretty decent single target buster archer. She does have challenge capability. She also is anti-super large now thanks to her NP interlude, so her numbers are not bad. You can definitely go with her if you're looking for somebody that's going to be able to hold their own a little bit down the stretch of a fight, but ultimately at the end of the day, the choice is yours. Next up, we have Chiron. Chiron is a little bit more of a supportive archer as well. He at least has the ability to buff the party's crit damage. He also has a sort of tricolor steroid for people. But at the end of the day, I feel like one of his big claims to fame is that he actually basically can remove defensive buffs before damage goes out. So in that regard, it makes him very difficult to stop, but his damage output in and of itself is not altogether that strong. Next up, we have Hot Wheels, aka Ashvataman. Ashvataman is an interesting buster quick hybrid type of unit. He's also a 1 HP memer, as we like to call them, something that the Yuri Pirates also specialize in. Basically, Ashvataman will do more damage the less health that he has. And in that regard, he could be a pretty decent challenge unit. He could also be pretty decent at kind of just carting his way through stuff. He has pretty good crit damage in that regard. So again, choice is yours as to whether or not to go after him. Osaka Behime Archer is really she is the only unit in the game that can basically give an enemy a taunt. That has some occasional niche usefulness, but generally speaking, you're not going to care too much about that. The biggest issue that she's going to have is that her damage output is just not good. So to me, she's another one of the limited summer units here that she could just use another pass by the devs, give her an upgrade. It would really help her out. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours as to whether or not you want some unique utility or you just really like her summer design. Next up, we have Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane's actually had another interesting buff as well, basically changing the way her third skill works. It does at least make it more of a consistent thing to pull off. It does make her a little bit more viable and have a little bit more situations that you guys can do. It's not going to be altogether that common of a thing. You're not going to see it happen too often, but I'm going to say at the end of the day, she could be a decent option for your single target archer needs. Just don't expect her to do the most NP damage. Next up here, we have Ilya Archer. Ilya Archer is another limited summer unit. She's AoE quick like Atalanta was, but unlike Atalanta, she's not entirely refund based. She actually does have charge in her kit. This would probably make her a better pairing alongside Tiamat Archer, though considering that, having Tiamat Archer in there, they would be an entire Archer lineup. Just make sure you're going up against Berserkers or Sabers or something like that. Don't try to take that into Lancers. It's not going to go well for you. And then next up here, we have Balbon Sith. Balbon Sith still just kind of one of the best overall kit-wise archers. And we definitely can see that she is single target quick, but she has the ability to NP seal enemies. She has the ability to basically skill seal them. She has drain. She has invuln for herself. So she is still a really, really solid unit that does quite a bit of damage. So I really do like her in that regard. Next up here, we have another limited summer unit with Anastasian V. This is basically going to be the equivalent to Kuro Archer, who we just got as a welfare. If you already picked up Kuro Archer, you definitely don't need Anastasian V. But if you really like Anastasia, she is a decent character and somebody that's going to do a lot for you here, as she does have 50% charge. So you can manage to at least kind of pop off with her still as a single target arts archer. But again, like I said, there is a lot of redundancy there with a welfare, so the choice is just up to you. Next up here, we have Zenobia Archer. She's going to be our last archer from this grouping. She is AoE arts. She is definitely a solid looper if you support her right. She does automate a good portion of her refund, basically due to her charge per turn skill. And she does at least get stronger with crits the more she loops through. So the choice is yours as to whether or not to go for her. But I think as far as looper AoE units go, she's probably the best unit to grab here from the archer category. Chat, you don't like being seduced by Todd Howard in the bathroom of a Fleetwood Mac concert? Okay, so next up we have the Lancers, and we start out with Ellie Lancer. Now, Ellie is one of the game's just original Lancer groups. Basically, she is a permanent unit. She doesn't have charge in and of herself, but she does make up for that lack of charge as an AoE Buster Lancer by having utility. She has a defense down she can put on enemies, and she has sadistic charisma, which basically gives the entire party a charisma buff and then gives females an additional charisma buff. So it's a really, really useful utility at times. She can be used to just take out a wave and set somebody else up. Can definitely be a decent option to pick up if you don't already have her. Next up here, we have Lancer Alter, aka Lulter, as I like to call her. But basically, this is the alter form of Lartoria. Her 4-star variant here does not have as much charge in her as her 5-star form, but she at least has really good crit damage with her second skill and has had an upgrade to her charisma and still manages to have multi-turn duration on her main steroid, plus has 20% charge. So again, if you're looking for a decently hard-hitting AoE Lancer, she can definitely be a good option to pick up here. Plus, she is story locked. Plus, a lot of people will be trying to get coins with her for things like the append unlock, if nothing else. Next up, we have Fion. Honestly, I hate to say it at this point, Fion is not a bad unit by any stretch of the imagination, but Fion's kit is still pretty clunky after all of these years. He's just not going to be my go-to recommendation for anyone to really pick up here. Next up, Li Shuin Lancer is a single target Arts Lancer. He at least has 100% crit damage. He has invuln pierce. He has really stellar card performance and pretty decent NP damage for a single target arts-based Lancer. So I do really like him in that regard. He could definitely be a decent option to pick up. Kiyohime Lancer, we just got done praising basically Li Shuin. Unfortunately, Kyo Lancer, to me, not really that good. She could definitely use another upgrade. She did get one upgrade that at least helped her some, but she still just really lacks identity. They really need to give her some way to stand out from other options that, frankly speaking, are just better kitted. Next up here, Vlad III. Vlad III is actually a pretty decent tank. He also has the anti-evil niche. He is single target buster. So again, it's up to you if you want to go after him. He can actually be a pretty decent unit, but he is a permanent unit. So again, no necessarily pressing need. Next up here is Medusa Lancer. She is single target quick. She will definitely be a little bit more comparable to like Vlad and Li Shuin in terms of damage performance. But I do think where her real claim to fame is going to be both like charm and stun locking enemies. So basically just debilitating them and making them lose their turn while she's trying to operate. Next up, we have Minamoto no Raiko Lancer. This is the limited summer version of her. This is actually a pretty decent one to pick up for supportive purposes. If for no other reason than she hits hard on her own, but she also has a flexible kit in the same vein as someone like, say, Nero Bride would, where she can target the skills to help out either herself or an ally. So her middle skill is a 40% buster up for 3 turns that also has a debuff cleanse on it. So it can be really useful at times in terms of like raid events, in terms of just trying to super buff a unit for a couple of turns. That's one of the reasons I really, really like her. And I do think she is a very solid option for you guys to pick up with this ticket. Next up here, we have Parvati. Parvati did just recently get the fix to her 3rd skill on the JP server. That'll obviously be 2 years off for you guys here on NA, but she's still a really decent quick looping AoE Lancer. Again, refund is usually not the biggest issue with her. Instead, it's going to be, does she have enough damage output to actually kill what you need? Because a lot of her damage output's going to come on the turn that you end up popping her 2nd skill. So again, the choice is yours as to how to operate her and whether or not you want to pick her. She is a permanent unit. So again, up to you. Nezha here is, frankly speaking, not the best choice, I think. I think Nezha, while she has gotten at least a little bit of love, I do think that she kind of just pales in comparison to a lot of the better options, including, like, say, for instance, Lalter here. I don't really see the point in picking up Nezha at this point in time, not unless the devs do something else with her, which is a real shame. She could be a very interesting unit if they would develop her a little bit more. Next up here, we have the Summer Valkyries. If there's anybody that needed it more than Parvati, it was probably the Summer Valkyries. They're kind of left behind at this point. I really like them. They're really cool characters. You get 3 different Valkyries basically for the price of 1. The problem that you're going to have with this is that their damage performance is not that good, and basically their actual like refundability is certainly going to be an issue at times. They do at least have the capability of automating some portion of it due to having charge per turn, but it's still not going to be a whole lot. And again, their overcharge mechanic on their NP leaves a whole lot to be desired. So it is what it is. I really like the Valks, but I don't think they're really worth the pickup at this point in time. Ibaraki Doji Lancer, to me, a little bit similar to Kiyohime. I actually think Ibaraki Doji is maybe a little bit more capable due to the crit centricity that exists within her kit. But ultimately, at the same time, we see just kind of another single target Buster Lancer. It doesn't really have a whole lot of identity. There's no real like reason to actually go to and use Ibaraki Doji Lancer. So to me, probably not the best pickup unless you're just a huge Banana Oni fan. Ken Liang Yu is another interesting one. She's a like sort of 4-star version of Hozoin. She basically does have a different kit than him. She does operate a little bit more with like healing and stuff, especially if you get crit. But I think at the end of the day, Ken Liang Yu could still use another pass by the devs. She could probably use some other upgrade to help her out. To me, I like her design. I think she's an intriguing unit. I'd like to see the devs do more with it, but I don't think this is a good time to pick her up at this point. Melt Lancer is another interesting one. She is AoE Arch. She has 60% charge, though she has to drain it from her allies in order to do so. And she can at least deal decent damage for the 1 turn that 3rd skill is popped on. However, just getting a single copy of Melt Lancer will not make her deal very good damage output. So if you're trying to shore up copies by getting like maybe a 4th or a 5th copy, she's definitely a decent pickup here. Or if you're just trying to go after coins, she's definitely a decent pickup. But I think just getting the 1st copy, it's probably not worth it. There maybe is a better option for you. So again, the choice is yours, but I do think Melt Lancer is somebody that at this point, she's aged well, but her damage output is the primary concern. Canis is basically very similar to Lalter. I really like Canis's character, but unfortunately, this kit also needs some sort of tuning. I don't feel like the devs have taken very good care of Canis, especially with how important she can be to the story at points. So at this point in time, my advice, even though she is story locked just like Lalter is, my advice would be if you're looking at this and you don't have any preference towards the character, just pick up Lalter instead. You'll get better performance output out of her. Next up here, we have Percival. Now, if you were looking for a looping option maybe, and somebody that you didn't want to like have to invest all too much in, Percival's a great option here. Percival actually can be your go-to AoE arts looper. I think he's my recommendation in that regard because he's just kind of a like easy to set up type of character, and his performance output is pretty consistent. You don't have to mess around with him too much. You basically can just kind of set him in, support him, and go, and he will work fine. Next up here, we have Don Quixote, the Windmill Knight. Don Quixote's single target quick, but what makes him interesting is that he's anti-giant, and he has the ability to transfer his charge to other allies. So it is almost a reverse Parvati situation in that regard, or a reverse Melt Lancer situation in that regard. I do find it really interesting. I think Don Quixote can be a sort of like dark horse candidate to pick up here because of the fact that he can be a decent Lancer supporting unit, especially as a 4-star. But ultimately, the choice is yours. You definitely need to try to get him on something like this, though, because he is story locked, and you may not like other pairings of units with him. So, again, it's up to you as to who to pick here. Okay, next up for Ryder, we are going to have Marie Ryder. Marie Ryder is still a really good challenge unit. Very tough to kill. She has 3 times invuln, and she definitely has had improvements to her damage output. I think she's still not going to be the best in terms of damage output for you, but she is certainly a serviceable option and very hard to bring down. She could be good for like early on in a lot of accounts, and really just a good anchor of a challenge type of scenario. Next up, we have Martha. Martha, certainly not going to be someone you're going to take necessarily for damage output, though that has been improved. She is a little bit better in that regard. But the real reason a lot of people are going to take Martha is for both cleanse support for the party, as well as the ability to buff strip enemies. So she's a really good setup option. She's really good in scenarios where like you come out of the gate and they're just debuffing you and you need to kind of set your party up for success. Martha Ryder can be a really decent option for that type of scenario. Next up, we have the original Yuri Pirates. They are single target quick, and they have at least had buffs that help fix their capability. To me, they could maybe still use a little bit of love, but I think they're overall still in a pretty decent spot. And I think they can be a decent option for you to pick up, but they are permanent ultimately, so the choice is yours. Next up, we have Astolfo here. Astolfo is a 50% charging AoE rider. Definitely a decent option for you guys to pick up if you're looking for somebody in that vein. And certainly damage performance is not the worst. So at the end of the day, if you really like Astolfo, this could be a decent way to get him. But keep in mind that he is a permanent unit. Next up, we have Surfmo. Surfmo is actually going to be one of the just really sneakily good choices to pick up on this 4-star ticket. Not only is she a limited summer unit, but she's also an AoE looping rider. And now, thanks to the buff that JP just gave her at their anniversary, Surfmo is a little bit of a monster. So she actually can hang pretty decently well now with some of the other competitors that she has. Certainly, if you're shoring her up and trying to get additional coins for her, this is a good pick. But even just for a singular copy, Surfmo is an absurdly good looper and refunder and still has 30% charge in her kit. So to me, personally, Surfmo is a really, really solid choice and one of the best riders you guys could pick up here with that in mind. Next up, we have Carmilla Rider. And if we were just extolling the virtues of Surfmo, unfortunately, I feel like with Carmilla Rider, she could definitely use a lot of love. She still has a very clunky, challenge-oriented kit. Her damage output is really suspect, I think the devs need to pay a little bit more attention to some of their older, like, summer units at this point, because it's pretty clear that people like these characters, but it feels like there's no point recommending them because they're just so far behind some of the other options. Next up here, we have Murasaki Rider. Now, Murasaki Rider is a single target arts summer rider, so she's limited. She has really good damage performance, really good looping and refund applicability as well. So she's actually, even though she's a debuff-centric unit, she has everything in her kit that she needs to be able to succeed with debuffs in this game. And so I do highly recommend her. If you've never used her before, she's a very solid single-target rider option, particularly if you don't have some of the other welfares and things like that. Next up here, we have Canis Rider. Canis Rider is another limited single-target summer rider, but she is Buster. Unfortunately, Canis Rider doesn't really have anything in the way of charge. She's a very crit-centric and synergistic unit. She can basically provide crit stars for herself. She can soak them, and then she can crit harder with them. She definitely performs well card-wise, but she could really use a buff to just make her a more consistent output option for people that like Canis. Next up here, we have Dobrynya. Dobrynya at least has the party-wide dragon niche. This does have some interesting applicabilities. They did also help out her charge situation a little bit if memory serves. So she could be a decent option for you guys to pick up, especially if you just like cute Russian cat girls. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think she's necessarily the best option to choose here. Again, the choice is yours. And then last, but honestly kind of least in this case, we have Wang Fei, who he absolutely is just a kind of forgotten about unit at this point. They really need to give him some kind of upgrade. He also has a tendency to, it feel like, lack identity and really like not have a reason to take him to a node. So to me, the devs really could help themselves out by actually giving him a much needed buff. Next up here, we start the casters. And this is an interesting one because right off the rip, we have Medea Lily. Medea Lily is certainly not in vogue or in meta with the way that she operates. She is a healing support, and that is her primary gimmick. However, for a healing support, while she is not like as consistent as someone like, say, Merlin, she can still spam it out, and her heals are actually pretty decent in terms of their health value compared to maybe some of the other healers that exist in the game. So in that regard, she could be a decent option for you if you just need somebody to heal. However, we also did just get Iris Veil, including Iris Veil's upgrades from the Welfare Evocation Festival. So again, the choice is yours as to whether or not to go after something like this. Next up, we have Nursery Rhyme. The devs have at least gone back and given Nursery Rhyme an update. They have improved her damage output, and it does help things out. But Nursery Rhyme is still going to be a little bit more in the realm of like AoE arts, like challenge scenarios where she can drain enemies, she can deprive them basically of getting to their NP, and she can kind of help be a little bit of a star generator and crit generator for the party there. Next up, we also have Helena Blavatsky. Now, Blavatsky, while she is permanent, is a really decent option for a lot of people to pick up. And the reason why is because not only does she moonlight as a good AoE caster for damage output, she also is a pretty decent 4-star support. She can buff any card type, and she can give the party 20% charge. So that alone is worth its weight in gold. Plus the upgrade to her middle skill, giving her specifically 30% charge, means that she is a 50% charging unit now. So to me, she is one of the better options that you guys could pick from a gameplay perspective if you don't already have her. But she is permanent, so again, the choice is yours. Thomas Edison, by comparison, is a little bit more niche. His damage numbers are certainly not as robust, and his supportive capabilities are interesting. I'm going to say they have some pretty intriguing implications and applications, but they don't necessarily have to be something that you need. You could absolutely skip over Thomas Edison and be fine. So the choice is yours. As a story locked unit, you're not going to get him unless you do specifically devotedly roll for him or pick him on this ticket. So again, that is something worth considering, but it's not something that you necessarily have to have. Next up, we have Nitocris. Nitocris is one of the game's just kind of like best farming options. She actually can manage to death proc enemies fairly consistently. So unlike in a lot of scenarios where death can kind of be a meme for people, Nitocris manages to wield it in an effective way. She also has 100% charge and is an AoE arts caster. So to me, she is definitely a decent option as well for your ticket pick here if you don't have her. Next up, we have Marie Antoinette Caster. She is a limited AoE arts caster from Summer 1, and she is the epitome of a unit that needs an upgrade. Her damage output is pathetic. Her refund numbers aren't stellar. So at the end of the day, the devs really need to give her something, because it is a shame that we have had a unit go this long without a buff. Gilgamesh Caster, on the flip side here, is a lot better. Gilgamesh basically has gotten numerous upgrades over the years and is now not only good as a damage-dealing Black Grail looping AoE arts caster, but also a pretty decent supportive caster in his own right. He's going to rival Helena for that choice, and depending on the centricity of your account, if you're a little bit more skewed towards arts, he might even just straight up be the better choice. So again, the choice is yours, but it really just depends. Cersei is a decent single target option when it comes to casters. We did just recently get the buff to Medea on JP. That does at least let her rival Cersei a little bit more, but Cersei will win over even Medea, assuming you basically tend to your Cersei appropriately. Cersei's major claim to fame is going to be the fact that she has a cleanse, she has a charge skill of 100%, and she can turn the enemy into pigs. That is hilarious, and it is a unique application within the game. It basically acts as a unique form of stun. So again, feel free to try her out. She is definitely a decent option here, but she is permanent as well. Unfortunately, my girl Midrash, aka Queen of Sheba, could use a whole lot of love. Basically, the upgrade to Medea at this point on JP has left Queen of Sheba in a ditch dead somewhere face down. So that is not good. She's another unit that just desperately could use an upgrade. And again, we'll see what the devs do with her at some point in the future. She at least has had a charge skill given to her, but she definitely could use more. Miyu is another interesting supportive option. She's really good at sustain and kind of like keeping the composition going. Also just stacking a bunch of attack buffs for the party, and doubly so if you're using her alongside the other Prillia cast members. So again, the choice is yours as to whether or not to go for her. She can be a decent option as somebody who is, again, I believe she's limited in that regard. Charlotte Corday Caster is a single target arts limited caster, and she would be the better option to pick here if you desperately need a single target. The reason why is because she has a 60% charge that she can split up into increments of 30%, either 30% on herself and 30% on someone else, or all 60% to herself. So that does make her a flexible option. She also deals super effective damage to units that she can land her skill seal effect on. She can be a really, really decent and serviceable option as a single target caster. Daiko Kuten, aka the Rats, are basically going to be an AoE Black Grail looping quick caster. They're actually one of the game's first quick casters in that regard, and it does make them an interesting option. They actually have just about everything they need to succeed and bring at least some of the deficiencies of the Scotty comps kind of with them in their own kit to help address that. So they are a very, very decent option as an AoE looping caster, but it is going to be predicated a little bit on having Scotty, or at least having some ability to maybe do multiple damage dealer setup. Wu Caster is another limited summer unit. Honestly, probably not my go-to, though she can apply undead to anything. So if you have people that can exploit undead, Wu can have a pretty interesting niche use. And in that regard, I do think she could be a decent option damage-wise and charge-wise, but I'm going to say, at the end of the day, probably not going to be my pick here. Next up, we move on to the Assassins, and we start off first with a rare prison. I'm just kidding. We start off first with Sathino. A lot of people write Sathino off because they assume that Sathino is just garbage and cannot be used effectively. Sathino can actually death proc enemies with her NP, and this can be used assuming you know how death proc works. And she is also a pretty decent option for charm locking enemies if the game allows for it, as well as buffing divine allies. There are a lot of units in the game that are divine. Sometimes Sathino makes sense in a similar way to Sadistic Charisma for Liz Lancer. Sathino can also be a decent option for you guys in that regard. Next up, we have Carmilla Assassin. This version is a lot better, thankfully. She is one of the few units in the game that is anti-female. Basically, her and Jack the Ripper are the only ones within the assassin class, and she at least is a vampire in this regard, so she can drain her enemies of charge and charge herself, though admittedly they really do need to go back and fix a bunch of the vampirisms in the game because it doesn't give a actual round number of 30% charge like we would hope. So that is definitely one of the issues with her. But again, she could be a very decent option for a single target assassin. Next up, we have Emiya Assassin. Emiya Assassin is somebody that has a unique change to his refund numbers because the hit counts on his Noble Phantasm are so high. He definitely has had a nice buff that has helped facilitate that refund because I think the devs realized that the way that they originally designed him was not good, which is that they designed him to have his scapegoat ability, aka his targetable taunt, to be put on himself to get him hit because he basically has a higher NP gain off of getting hit. And so that was their idea, is that this will help resolve his NP gain issues, but naturally with the way the game has evolved over the years, that is just a terrible way of generating Noble Phantasm. So the devs have finally given him an upgrade that really helps him out in that regard, so he could be a decent option for you guys to pick up into the future, but right now he will be a little bit podunk if you pick him up right here. Yan King has definitely gotten a lot of upgrades over the years, and it has helped out his identity as somebody that can maneuver and manipulate stars in a party. This can be used to his advantage. This can absolutely allow him to pop off, but ultimately, I don't feel like Yan King is one of the strongest options here, and he's probably not going to be who I recommend you guys pick. Next up, we have Wu, and Wu is basically going to be a really decent single target quick assassin. Wu is the better option to pick. Wu has gotten so much love in terms of upgrades over the years that she now is a pretty decent quick support. She still has a targetable charge skill as well, even though it's only 10%. So I do feel like Wu is at least a really decent option if you're looking for a single target damage dealer from this group. Next up, we have Nitocris Assassin. This is a limited summer version. She's AoE arts, and thankfully they at least gave her an NP interlude on JP that fixed the issue with her death proc. It used to happen before her damage went out, which would screw her refund over. Now it happens after, so she's in a little bit of a better spot, but she could still probably use more upgrades. Do understand if you take her and you pick her up, she's going to be almost similar to Passion Lip in the way that she operates as a tank. She's not necessarily going to be known for her damage output, so that is definitely going to be something to consider with her. Next up here, we have Chiome. Chiome is actually a pretty decent single target option in and of her own right. If you're looking for somebody that's more art-centric as opposed to Wu's quick centricity, Chiome can be definitely an interesting one to go with. Especially now that Chiome does have things like charge and the ability to curse her foes, she could definitely be a very serviceable single target assassin for a lot of people out there. Next up, we have Kato Danzo. Kato Danzo is a story locked option here. Kato Danzo's not really known for her damage output. She's AoE buster and she is anti-demonic. There is that. But ultimately, the big thing that she's known for is her ability to target people with her second and third skill, which includes a targetable dodge and a targetable invincibility that can be used to at least apply for some challenge scenarios to help the party out. Next up, we have Ushiwakamaru Assassin. This is an AoE quick version of her. She is a limited summer unit, and she definitely has some interesting loop ability. She has 40% charge in her kit and pretty decent refund. The issue at play is her damage output is not the best. Next up, we have Consort U. Consort U finally got some upgrades that allowed her kit to not be one of the worst things in the game. And so as a result, she's much more serviceable and usable now, but the damage output is still atrocious. So just keep that in mind. She's the epitome of a trophy waifu. She is basically story locked in nature, so feel free to go after her if you want the coins, but they definitely need to give this girl another upgrade. And last but not least, we have Okita J Soji. This is another limited AoE quick summer assassin, and she is actually a Black Grail looping assassin in her own right. The issue at play is she has a ton of demerits and can stun herself after her NP, which doesn't mean that she can't loop still, but it does mean you need to watch out if you're going to be trying to card with her after her Noble Phantasm goes out. Next up, we start the Berserkers here, and there's everybody's favorite, Hercules. Hercules is the game's quintessential cockroach character. He is just nigh impossible to kill, and with some of the changes that we know are happening in the realm of things like grand fights and stuff like that coming up in the future, having a Hercules is probably going to be a really good idea, especially if you've managed to get him Bond 10 to unlock his Bond C. So, Hercules is a permanent option. He's somebody that you can get at the very beginning of the game. This definitely means that a lot of you guys will already have him, so you won't necessarily feel the need to get more of him, though he is a really, really good Berserker in his own right. Again, the choice is yours as to whether or not to go after him. Lancelot Berserker is a little bit past his prime. He's still a pretty decent and serviceable AoE looping quick Berserker, but the issue at play is he doesn't really have charge, and a lot of the skill durations in his kit are only one turn. So you have to be very picky about how you use him and in what type of node, but otherwise he is a really, really solid option, and he does get stronger every time he loops. Tamamo Cat, they've at least fixed the ability for her to put herself to sleep as much, so this does make her a lot more viable. She's definitely come a long way from where she used to be, but still not necessarily going to be your go-to like looper. Not going to necessarily be the one that you're going to want to pick here, but if you're a huge Tamamo fan, feel free to go for it. Fran Berserker, also ironically enough in the same vein, is a quick AoE looping Berserker. And yes, I just said AoE looping because a lot of people would assume that you can't loop Fran because she can stun herself with her NP, but there are ways that you guys actually can get around that, including using units like Nightingale. Again, anybody that can basically provide a debuff immunity to Fran can actually allow Fran to pop off and do pretty decent numbers. But it's a very similar scenario to Lancelot Berserker, where basically you don't really have any sort of charge. So you're going to have to be very careful about how you utilize someone like Fran. Still, as far as AoE damage goes, Fran's damage is not bad. It's actually one of the main reasons to pull for her. Beowulf is single target buster. He's kind of anti-dragon. He does have a very good crit skill that he stole from Lalter, but that's pretty much where his viability ends. He doesn't really have charge. He can be, again, somebody that hits really, really hard and can card really, really hard after the fact. But again, you got to be able to get him to that Noble Phantasm in the first place. Next up is Ibaraki Doji Berserker. This is another one very similar a little bit to her Lancer form. She kind of at this point is just lacking a little bit of real identity. She doesn't really have hard survivability. I think they actually need to buff Ibaraki Doji because at this point she's pretty much just kind of like faded from existence in the game, and it's not a good thing. Penth is a really interesting single target buster Berserker. Basically, Penth has charge per turn up to 20% that allows her to automate a whole bunch of charge. And she also has supportive characteristics with both her party-wide charisma as well as party-wide buster up, and definitely has the anti-Greek male niche for an extra 100% power mod. So Pent could be a really decent high-octane Berserker. Her biggest issue is her survivability. Oda Nobunaga Berserker is very similar to Pent in that regard. The concern is survivability, not damage output. In fact, Oda Berserker basically is going to be your divine killer. She's absolutely fantastic in that niche and can definitely do solid work for you. Next up, we have Atalanta Alter. She is single target quick. Again, another interesting option where she is primarily refund based like her main form. She doesn't really have any charge. That is her primary concern, but she does at least have a little bit of survivability baked in. So it's kind of a buyer beware type of scenario. She's not going to be the most fluid unit. Next up is FGO QoL. Frankly speaking, FGO QoL also doesn't really have a big reason to actually use her. A lot of the reason people will like to use her is simply for the novelty of her. They may just really like the character, but ultimately, other than her being literally a dinosaur, there is no reason for you to actually necessarily get her. Brynhildr Berserker is another interesting AoE option for your Berserker. She can also automate some of her charge, similar to kind of how like Pent did, but she does have the Brynhildr's Beloved niche, which means that she can actually buff allies in the party that fall under the Brynhildr's Beloved niche. It does give her some, again, niche applications, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not anything you have to have. So if you just really like her design, feel free to go for it, but it is what it is. Next up, we have Sei Shonagon Berserker. She's another single target limited quick Berserker, but she ironically enough has a triple buster gorilla deck. She's actually a really decent crit option, but otherwise damage, performance, and refund leave a lot to be desired for this unit. So to me, she's not who I necessarily recommend people pick up. Now, Kriemhild here, however, is a story locked unit and is a single target arts-based Berserker with 50% charge, and again, anti-dragon niche really to boot. So I do really like Kriemhild. I feel like she can be a decent option for you guys, and definitely a good option to pick up here due to both the story-locked nature and rarity there, as well as due to the ability of her kind of being a 50% charging 4-star. Next up, we move on to the extra classes here, as we've got two rulers, starting off with Martha Ruler. Martha Ruler could probably use another upgrade at this point in time. Her damage is not really to be denied, but still, she has managed to be outpaced by other options, including the other ruler currently available here in this ticket. So that ends up being a little bit of an issue. Her charge is okay, and as a Buster synergistic unit, you can still get a whole lot done with her. If you really like her, feel free to go for her. Her primary claim to fame is basically her anti-demon, anti-undead Jacob's Limbs, basically power mod of 100% that really allows her to pop off. Next up, we have Estrella. Estrella is just a single target arts looping ruler that hits like a Mack truck, has extremely synergistic skills, and basically is anti-evil to boot. So this is one of the reasons that a lot of people go with Estrella. She's absolutely phenomenal to pick up here and a really good choice with the ticket, even though she is permanent. Moving on to the Avengers, we have Gorgon. Gorgon is in a much better spot, but to me, probably not someone I'm necessarily going to recommend unless you just really feel like you need an AoE Avenger. Hessian Lobo would be a decent option normally here. However, the inclusion of limited units means I'm not going to tell anybody to pick him. And the reason why is going to be because Utsumi Eris is here. She is single target arts and anti-servant power mod with her kit. This does make her a pretty decent looper and somebody that hits really hard. This should be your go-to Avenger if you need one on this ticket. For Alter Ego, our only option is Passion Lip. Passion Lip is somebody that has a whole lot going on in her kit, and she has gotten a lot of upgrades. Her damage is actually pretty darn decent. She is a tank, so she's very difficult to bring down, and she does even have death memes on one of her skills to allow her to card enemies to death. plus her Noble Phantasm on top of dealing damage to all enemies as a Buster AoE also heals the party. So it's definitely another interesting inclusion in her kit. For foreigners, all we have is Double X, but Double X is certainly a very serviceable single target arts foreigner. The biggest issue is her second skill, which has just negative star absorption. So naturally, you want the arts unit to absorb stars, not give them away. I hope the devs eventually address that, but there is lore implications for it. But still, damage output for this unit is very solid, and she does have anti-threat to humanity, so she definitely pairs up really well and really synergistically with Castoria. And then lastly, on this ticket, we have 4-star pretender Hephaestion, who has 100% charge in her kit. And really, we don't have to say too much more beyond that. She is just a decent option if you need a pretender. She definitely can have a little bit of an expansion of typical pretender duties, as she is effective against more classes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're picking up Hephaestion, you know why, and it's probably because of the 100% charge skill. So, again, with her being single target arts, she is a decent option as a boss killing pretender. So, that is going to be your 4-star ticket overall. To me, some of the best choices are going to be units like Salter, basically, from the Sabers. I personally really like the idea of Zenobia from the Archers, though there's definitely single targets there if you want to go after someone like Balbon Sith. And you also have Lancers. I think Lalter and Percival are really decent options, as well as Mama Raiko Lancer, and then maybe even a little bit of a dark horse in Don Quixote. Rider options, I think Surfmo and Murasaki Rider are just really too good to ignore, unless you just really feel like you need the utility of someone like Martha, or you just really like another character. Casters, I think your go-to is going to be Helena and Gilgamesh, and then Nito Chris as well there. If you need a single target, probably someone like Charlotte Corday. For assassins, I think your best bets here are probably going to be Wu, Chiome in the short term, and probably at that point, like Carmilla as well, if you're just looking for somebody that's like Buster based. AoE options here, there's not a whole lot of stellar ones. I could advise you to take up like Ushiwakamaru just due to general usability, but the choice is yours. For Berserkers, obviously Herc is somebody worthy of your attention. But I think at the end of the day, I think Kriemhild is way too good to pass up. And from there, if you're looking at AoE, your options are less than stellar for this group. And then the extra classes, I do think Estrella makes a whole lot of sense for Ruler. Eris makes a whole lot of sense for Avenger. Double X, really, the extra classes are all pretty darn decent here. And the choice is yours. So again, who are you guys going to pick from the 4-star ticket? Will you be celebrating 3,000 days when the 3,000 days comes to the game? And again, I will see you guys for the next one. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to go give my voice a rest. Okay. Celebrating 200 days, but yay. Hey, it's all good. Congratulations on yet another long one done. Yeah, I'm sorry that one dragged on. I tried to make it as fast as possible and still give you guys some like TLDR at the end, right? Bargu, I can avoid Melu now? Yeah, hey. It's probably sacrilege to someone in chat. But yeah, this is, honest to God, chat, pick carefully. We still have not had another 4-star selector. And there's no guarantee that if we get another one that it includes limiteds. Okay? So, like, pick carefully. You're not going to get another shot at this. I highly recommend, if you're somebody that just needs coins to fix something, that you guys consider that if it allows you to not have to roll. What do I mean? Let's say I was desperately trying to like get my Laltra to 120, and if I take her with the with the SR selector ticket here, that would give me the coins that I needed to 120 her. Well, if that means that I don't have to roll on her now, that's worth. So view the ticket from a standpoint of what will save you guys the most money or quartz. That's how you guys should view this. You still grabbing another double X CAD? I might. It's the main account is absolutely like considering this, and it's probably like 90% odds it's gonna happen. There's maybe 10% odds of if I can get other units bonded enough, or sorry, if I can get her bonded enough that I can maybe like pick somebody else instead. I pointed at Don Quixote. I actually have no idea who I'd pick. The new player account, because of the lack of good AoE Berserker here, in my opinion, the new player account is looking really hard at that. It is looking really hard at that. Helena is such a good like service option if you just lack support options. So I don't know. Granted, I could also just take Gilgamesh. The only reason that I maybe would not want to pick Helena or Gilgamesh on the new player account is because it would be yet another caster. Like, the new player account is so caster heavy, it is not funny. Mordred loops incredibly well. Yeah, Mordred is definitely a consideration. Percival's definitely a consideration. There are options here that I would consider. The thing is, we are on a story kick. There's not a whole lot going on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually like we're going to start Camalot right now in the alt account. But like literally I don't think there is a big like pressing need necessarily to get surf mode because I'm going to get Habitrot. Now, will my Habitrot be in P5 anytime soon? No, probably not. Not until LB6. That won't take long. I'm not even kidding, chat. I think we'll probably get Camelot done this week, which then means next week is Babylonia already. Now, we will start having events again, but like I could very easily see if like by the end of the year that I am probably at a point of like having we'd at least have part 1 done, and I would probably be neck deep into Lost Belt. I don't think this is the Sphinx yet. We'll go with this. Pretty sure you're Bond 5 now. I think all my 4 stars are Bond 5 on this. Yep. Every 4 stars bond 5. Wait, is every 5 star? Yep. Gawain be Spice, do you have Urail? No, I have better Urail. You'll see, chat. When I did my first Camalot, I lacked Urail. Was so sad. I mean, if I had to, I could bum rush Urail up to at least usability. But yeah, I don't think I'll have to. Yeah, like, honestly, the biggest thing this account fears is force support. And I'm dead serious. Because that's the only thing that's going to have issues. LB5 will be fun. I really don't want to have to do LB5. All right, like LB5, LB6, and LB7 are just going to be a little bit hellacious depending on how developed the account is by the time I reach there. See, every once in a blue moon, you just have to like abuse Lady Avalon's ability to self-charge to get her Noble Phantasm off to help your refund because you know you're not going to 3-turn. Also, when's the next 5-star ticket? That's a good question. Do we have another one, chat? Or are we done for right now? I don't feel like we have another one. I was maybe thinking they were going to give us one with the 10th anniversary, and they did not. 30 million? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well. Arts and crit up. And I soak all the stars. Don't mind if I do. Well, that's just enough. Time to NP seal. It feels weird seeing Lady Avalon in a time of singularities. You never knew this was a thing. It's even more ironic given that this is Camelot. This is extremely, like, weird that she's here. Like, I would actually like to see... I think it'd be a cool thing to have, like, what-ifs like that and see stuff like that get explored narratively in the story. But I feel like... I don't know, they just maybe don't want to, like, send some of the stuff more and allow it, but it is what it is. I get that it's probably a lot of work. Okay, so... we have Leonardo da Vinci here. It's a completely unupgraded version of Leonardo. I could bring it. I really don't feel like it. I don't think it's worth the extra FP at this point. Yeah, why don't I show off Murasaki Rider? She's a fun unit to use. I'm not a huge fan of this ascension of her, but she is definitely an intriguing unit to loop with. Especially if this is the node that I think it is. Uh, so basically, she's a debuff-centric unit, but like I said, normally I'm not a huge fan of debuff units, but Murasaki Rider has like every capability to succeed as a debuff unit. A copy of the servants that actually make an appearance in the story? That's interesting. But that would also get really problematic at points, I assume. Now, this is an NP5 version, but she only had a K-scope equipped, so... Oh, she didn't kill, damn it. I was really hoping the Mighty Chain would make that pop off. Because that would have been a one turn of this. Gonna give the attack ups here to give the as much oomph as possible. I'm gonna hope that one of these crits. There we go, we got it. And yep, there it is, the 378k Sphinx. Where you're just like, what? They can't make me fight this? This is bullshit. Well, the devs heard you saying that the game was easy, and they said, all right, here you go. And behold, as I still probably managed to one turn it. Oh, no, we didn't get the arts crit, so maybe not. Yep. And this is one of the reasons that Murasaki's just so nice. She just loops pretty well if you get her cards. So she's a very prolific unit in that regard. Gonna use the waiver cards here as they're actually effective. Damn, 300k with an insurmountable challenge. Hey, back then this was like at least like a disturbing amount of health. You did not want to just waltz into a node and see a 300k enemy. 100k maybe. 300k no. But nowadays, yeah, that's nothing nowadays. The future events, we can't just have Gouda Gouda and summer events as the main events of the year. Yeah, they're definitely going to have to, like, if we're not doing story, they're going to have to start, like, getting the event pacing of the game back. If nothing else. Okay, we are up against an assassin. Dare I ask what it is? It may be multiple assassins. But given how art-centric my account is, this may actually be a good time. Sorry, I said art-centric, but I meant caster-centric. Yeah, I'll just do it like that. Hassan's? It's probably the Hassan's. Oh, it's definitely not MHX. Not in story. This isn't Saber Wars. These days, the equivalent would be 3 million HP, I guess. 3 million HP would be so difficult that the vast majority of players would complain about it. I'd say 1 million HP would be the equivalent. I'll just go ahead and pop that just to get the charge per turn going, but not the best use of my resources there. Also, this is a 4 enemy wave, so this is just kind of annoying. I remember being scared of Daeon's interlude early on. Wait, what? Did it crash? Yeah, that I understand, because Daeon's was like, you were supposed to death proc it, and if you didn't know that and you just went in, you were just kind of stuck. And it's not like the interlude was free either, so it's like, you basically were just costing yourself AP. And back then, like, AP was much more of a commodity. You did not want to waste it if possible. Ace the phone killer strikes. This isn't even on my phone. That's what's kind of funny about this. Nor is this her in her like third ascension either, which is usually the one that I assume is worse. $10K PC can't run FGO, right? Clearly, FGO is a highly advanced game. Clearly. This is 5 enemy waves. Okay. At this point, it's just use it or lose it type of gameplay. She's just gonna outright kill everything. I'm not gonna get to use these cards. I thought only your third ascension does that. That's what I was saying. Like, I thought that as well. But I have noticed, like, sometimes this emulator just crashes. It is what it is. I honestly, I don't think I have that high of an opinion of LD player, because like Avalon's worked with me numerous times to try to get like this emulator working well, and it has issues. I don't know why specifically for me it struggles so hard, but it definitely do. Is Seat and I good? Kind of want another alter ego, but I don't know. Damage output's her big concern, but like she's at least art synergistic, so you do have like decent refund capability to do that. But most people will tell you to just go with like Melt instead, because Melt is just so jacked. No idea why it's like this for you, yeah. It may just be like it doesn't play nice with like Windows 11 or some crap. I've noticed like Windows 11 just seems to make everything worse. If I basically could switch this computer off of Windows 11 back to Windows 10, well, I say back, this computer technically never had Windows 10. But it's like if I could get it to Windows 10, that would just be so much better at this point, I feel like. I know they keep saying like, oh, Windows 10 is losing support. You can't stay on it forever. And I'm like, bet. Just seems to be emulators in general. I've not found one I don't have some issues with. Yeah, I do think that's a thing. I think it's just due to the natural state of emulation. It always results in some jank, so that's a hard evasion. So there's nothing I can do for this turn other than gain Noble Phantasm. So basically, this is a good idea for me to pretty much just go ahead and use things like Noble Phantasms where I'm maybe just not going to care as much. We're going to go ahead, pop both of these. And the idea behind this is, and just kind of explain this, is a little bit of a lesson in the Immortal comp, right? So basically, if you get additional overcharge, she gets critical stars per turn on Lady Avalon. But if we get additional overcharge on Castoria, you can see it says apply an anti-enforcement defense state 1 time 3 turns. And the number of times increases with overcharge. So this gives me multiple stacks of the solemn defense. So that means I can be hit multiple times without any damage being dealt to me. So that's the entire premise behind how the like invincible comp works, is you're just trying to jack up as much like overcharge on Castoria as you possibly can. And then you just put her last in the sequence. And you basically don't necessarily get the most like high powered offense out of it. But what you do is you get a defense that's so strong that like 99% of the game's enemies cannot get through it. So it becomes a pseudo like I win button for a lot of challenges. And it's hilarious. Windows seems to have a decent operating system every second time. Yep. Melt is the definition of a servant that isn't meta but has aged well. Well, it's easy to age well when the devs keep giving you super buffs. Like, in all seriousness, the big thing that they had to fix with Melt was just her original buff that fixed how her like NP down and NP damage up worked. Once they fixed that, Melt became so much more like infinitely usable. And that's why like you'll see me talk about that with other units, and I'll say like, hey, they need to actually like buff a unit similar to how they buffed Melt, because nobody really likes like certain delayed effects and stuff like that. Okay, this is another like servant gauntlet, so it's probably the Hassans again. I was gonna say a Buki would be ideal here, but I'd prefer not having the... Yeah, there we go. Give me a starting charge C. This Mystic Code is going to end up being my first rank 10 Mystic Code, I suspect. It's either going to be this one or this going to be the OG. I remember how Windows 8 got so much backlash they had to make it update to 8.1. I'm sorry. I'm not having a high opinion of Microsoft anymore. I feel like Microsoft has just become a terrible company. And it basically just boils down to they can't be asked to actually do like quality control on their updates. And so because of that, like everybody suffers. And then they inevitably try to like milk you with each Windows version. And they're trying to just make it where you just perpetually have to keep getting new Windows versions and keep paying them. They're trying to go like live service model and stuff, and it's just like, dude, I hate this mentality that so many of these companies have. It's as Bob likes to refer to it, it's the infinite sustainability like model, and it's like nothing is infinitely sustainable. You're not going to be able to do that forever. They become lazy and greedy like Nintendo is currently doing. Yeah. Where's Windows 12? Probably still not for another like 2 to 3 years at least. And that's only after Windows decides that people just really hate Windows 11 and nobody wants to use it. This is unfortunate. We are going to lose a little bit of the damage output here. I'm going to go ahead and even though this is like not good cards, I'm going to attack Nitocris because I could probably kill the Chimera easy with the AoE NP. And I'm going to pop her Noble Phantasm to get Ibuki more charge. And because I didn't have an Ibuki card, I'm going to go ahead and select Lady Avalon's cards to just try to get her back to yet another NP. And that's actually perfect. I have the exact amount of Noble Phantasm charge I need. Lady Avalon should naturally get that charge on her own due to her NP and her passives, so we're going to do the waiver card instead. Also, Microsoft rarely improves their virus defenders anymore. Yeah, it's so like I do not actually care about like their stuff. I do think in the future though, the big thing we need to watch out for is like AI generated viruses. It's already been a thing, and I think it's only going to get worse. As AI gets used to make viruses faster, basically. Just spamming out new versions that, like, we basically can't write enough, like, code to defend against. Windows 10 would be the last operating system we would need. It would just continuously get updated. I feel like they did say something to that, but now I feel like they've said it about Windows 11. And it's just like, dude, I'm so over this crap. This may be a Sphinx again, but I don't remember if it is or not. We'll literally just take her and go with it. When did you start the new player account? I've had it for like, what, 2 months now, chat? I think maybe a little bit longer than that. To be fair, we've basically slow rolled it over the past couple of weeks because I've been busy doing like the events and stuff. I like how I guessed correctly, and this was, in fact, the Sphinx. I only wish that I could have gotten the waiver crit damage buff in here. I could have, but, like, it would have cost me refund. Or charge, rather. Didn't matter. And that was without any of the attack buffs from Lady Avalon or waiver. Like, part of this is like, hey, this is just the power of an NP5, but the other part of it is just like supporting people properly and like getting them set up for success. And you can do some pretty dumb numbers. And I would have been very well equipped to just do it again, even if that didn't get close to a kill. Yeah, I don't have any of the enhanced art dash benefits, which is funny because it basically means that, like, again, you guys have looked at me and you've said, like, oh, your account got really lucky. While that is true, it's also entirely possible that people got more lucky than me. People basically just had better resources, or people like maybe they actually spent a little bit of money and did like the GSSRs, for instance. So it's like when you start considering that, yeah, the game actually gets kind of funny. Go back to the OG Mystic Code here. I think short term from the Mana Prism shop, I probably need to get a good 50% CE. I also probably need to unlock like my bond C and my QPC at minimum. And I think from there, I also need to potentially, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I probably need to see about like getting like a Mystic Code or two unlocked. Okay, this is not ideal. I think I literally just have to send this. There's no carting through this wave. It's just high enough. Got that start dash luck sack though, pretty much. But yeah, I didn't want to give myself any sort of like insane advantage in this. I didn't want to do anything that like nobody else could do. The problem is like getting lucky on some of the units does mean that like I have units that other people can't have. It just is what it is. The longer I play this account, the more it was going to deviate from like something else like that someone else had. So turn 3 is coming up, so I should get more Lartoria cards. There we go. We'll actually just double stack both of them right here so we make sure we kill this one and we'll let Oberon take the Sea Fiend. And then this should be fine. We'll go ahead and commit. And there we go. She's now fully buffed up, and we basically just slaughter the final wave. Who was my tutorial 4-star? I got 2. It was Sisteno and Nitocris. Which, Nitocris was just a really good start. Sisteno has honestly not been useful. But, like, that's pretty much what I expected. Until I like commit to investing in Sisteno, she was doomed to not be useful. So there's just like, there's going to be issues like that where you get certain units early. You don't necessarily have to commit to them. They're not like the best thing for you to do. Helena is also good when you can't get her anymore. Unfortunately, the starting roles have changed to what is currently their final form. Let's go with it. They removed Helena. That's stupid. They removed Helena because everybody was getting Helena. Helena was too strong of a pick. I got Helena when I started. It was damn good to have her. Yeah, like, she was the de facto, just pick her, you'll thank yourself later. I like how it's just the Sphinx over and over and over again. I did not remember having to fight the Sphinx like 3 times. I'm just going to full send this. We're going to see how much damage I can get out of this. I actually didn't remember having Mystic Code or command codes on her. The Sandstorm also didn't have phones. The Sandstorm and Camalot's backgrounds that you guys see used to absolutely destroy people's phones. It was hilarious. It's like the early like phones could not handle it. Then over the years, we've gotten better phones and they've been able to handle it now. Also, what was that? I just bonded up like 3 units at the same time. Thank you for the 18 cal. Appreciate it. My phone got wrecked by the storm. Yeah. Like I said, it may very well be the reason the emulator crashed. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It's not the computer can't handle it, it's the emulator can't handle it. Hmm. Wait, really? My Castoria Berserker's not up? That's actually interesting. Hmm. No problem. Thanks for all the content. Yeah, I'm happy to provide. There we go. Switch it. I just wish it was not like as repetitive getting through story. But I kind of understand. It's like this is just one of the problems that we run into. Actually, I probably should have changed the backline units because I believe they're all Bond 5. So eventually you want to like Bond 5 all of your units, and I've mentioned this a couple times before, I think, but the reason why, again, is that in getting them to Bond 5, you unlock their strengthenings and interludes, and that's super important for making the units good in the long term, plus unlocking strengthening and interludes, there's just nice benefits to doing it. So, like, again, like if you do an interlude, you might get like essential materials to drop from it. So it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of worth. Simultaneously, you'll probably get like quartz for getting it done. So you want basically access to as many strengthenings and interludes as you possibly can. The only way you're going to do that is by like leveling up and bonding up your units. That's why we advise people, it's like at least level and bond your units. You don't necessarily have to skill them. That's up to you. But leveling and bonding is a kind of midterm goal. But bonding, there's no requirement for you to do anything other than just put them in your back line. So just keep an eye on that over time. I kind of want more Black Lagoon. Now that someone in chat brought that up the other day, it's like I realize we don't get a lot of animes that are just their own unique concept anymore. Everything has to be a trend chaser. Well, that will kill. Goodbye, Ozzy. Nito is a pretty selfish servant outside the heal after strengthening. Yeah. Nito, I mean, to be fair, like it's fine that Nito is a selfish servant. She is just there basically to facilitate your farming. And she is really good at that. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like you'll notice I, for instance, am not using her too much right now because as we're going through story, she's not that good because you're facing a lot of servants. And a lot of servants, like just in general, servants as a concept, it's very difficult to death proc a servant. You as the player can be death procced very easily. But you as the player trying to death proc an enemy servant, that's very difficult to pull off. Usually it just does not happen. We got Hell's Paradise. Hell's Paradise is pretty similar, I will agree. I stopped paying attention to them after that. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the anime awards are similar to like the gaming awards. It's like it's just a popularity contest amongst canned choices. So like they're not gonna let you actually choose. It's, oh well, the thing that wins is the thing that we the judges want to win. And if you're like Crunchyroll, for instance, and you're running the rewards, you're not gonna let a non-Crunchyroll thing win. You're not even gonna let it on the list. What about all the isekai? I actually really like isekai, but listen, let's be frank for a second here, chat. Is isekai way too much of like the anime genre at the moment? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't know why there's so many isekais. Should there be isekais? Yes. Should they be good? Yes. Not everything needs to be an isekai though. I don't understand why anime as a like concept seems to want to like kill ideas, like basically just keep mass producing them so much that eventually everyone's just bored of them and can't handle them. So it's like people are just tired of it at that point. It's like, why don't you give it a rest instead? So I feel like we're just like one more gimmick away from like people basically being like, oh, this is the new trend, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh, not again. And then we end up with like another 5 years of whatever the new trend is. Somewhere in the cyberpunk vein, like Bubblegum Crisis, Ghost in the Shell, or Ergo Proxy, we could use another Ghost in the Shell. Like, even if it's just a reboot of Ghost in the Shell, Ghost in the Shell would do really well nowadays, I feel like. Like, I think people would appreciate Ghost in the Shell a whole lot more nowadays compared to how they did in the past. The other day I saw a graph that showed all isekais over the years. It really spiked in like 2023 or something. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so it's just 3, so I can still bond these guys a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, at least the vending machine isekai is fairly well written, but I'm sorry, it's like that, to me, that defeats the point of an isekai. Isekais are about escapism, and usually you want to see yourself in the character. Even if you even if it's not a like one-to-one, you still want to see yourself in that character. It's really difficult to imagine yourself as a vending machine. Sorry, it's just the truth. Yeah, I think the sandstorm is making this thing chug. Funnily enough, the vending machine one is better than it should be. Yeah, absolutely. I thought they were making a new Ghost in the Shell. Are they? That's good if they are. Because like we've at least had like oh, what was the one? What was the one cyberpunk anime where it's like the detectives and they're like the entire system is controlled by a machine? Chat, why am I forgetting the name of it? There is a new Git scheduled for next year. Nice. Psychopaths. Thank you. Yeah. So, like, Psychopaths was at least another interesting concept in the same vein. And that's what I'm saying. Like, could they do more? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not opposed to the return of Speed Racer. If they wanted to do a, like, more modern take on Speed Racer, I think that'd be fine. Like, my understanding is people actually don't hate the Speed Racer live action movie. Who would I be more likely to grand? Urail or Ushi? Ushi. All the way. Are you asking character preference or are you asking gameplay? Oh, it's a Spriggan chat. Oh shit, here we go again. Gameplay? Well, I lied when I asked you that question because the answer didn't change, no matter which result. The only problem with your rail, and I really do mean this, is that your rail's noble phantasm strength does not scale. Instead, what scales is her anti-man damage, and that is such a weird thing. I don't think it should work that way. I think they should actually like go back and change it. She is a unique unit in the game in that regard, but it's not in a good way. I don't think that provides any actual value. Are Spriggan Sky? I actually don't know. They're probably Earth, but I couldn't tell you. All right, chat. We are already in section 3 of Camalot. We didn't get to play it too long, but I'm going to go ahead and end stream here, as it is time. Let me see who all's on. I'm going to send you over to Miss Ivy. She's on doing some Blind Solomon playthrough. And again, I will be back tomorrow, chat. Tomorrow we will probably do the JPCQ. And let me remind myself. Okay. All right. I have another thing I want to do with you guys tomorrow, but I got to remember to do it. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, check me out on YouTube, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys for the next one. Go give Ivy my love, and have a good one.